Chapter 1143. Genius 1 Second. Remember love, little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The terrifying sword arrived in the blink of an eye, and it was imbued with the power of the great path of creation. It sealed off the surroundings, and the entire space was trembling. Lin Tian was moved, and the four symbols Tao diagram was propped up immediately, meeting the terrifying sword head-on. The four symbols Tao diagram rotated, and as soon as it appeared, it bloomed with a bright silver light and flew up into the sky. In the blink of an eye, the two collided. Then, with a poof, the four symbols Tao diagram shattered in the blink of an eye, and Wanmi Shenxi's sword of creation fell, penetrating Lin Tian's protective light curtain and piercing through his chest with a poof, causing blood to splatter all over the sky. It was a shocking sight. This is the great Tao of creation. It actually shattered that silver ceiling Tao diagram so easily. Not far away, Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun both turned pale. In the sky, Lin Tian's chest and mouth were bleeding. This terrifying sword had caused him to suffer heavy injuries. To be able to force me to use the great path, this is beyond my imagination. Wanmi Shenxi's body was surrounded by the light of the great path as he stepped towards Lin Tian. He raised the sacred sword in his hand again and slashed down again. Just like the previous sword, it looked very simple, as if it was just a casual slash, but in reality, it was not. This was a terrifying killing sword that contained the great path of creation, and it could be said to be a terrifying superpower that could wipe out a sect. Clang! The sword hummed, and with the power of the great path of creation, it once again closed in and came to Lin Tian's side in the blink of an eye. Lin Tian did not underestimate it, and immediately propped up the great Deity King arcane technique, condensing a Deity King divine shadow that was about 10 feet tall. He gathered all of his defensive power, forming an immortal armor of divine light. At the same time, he once again brought out the four symbols sealing divine diagram. The two combined, and this time, they blocked Wanmi Shenxi's sword of creation, shattering it directly outside his body. At the same time he stepped forward, the divine shadow of the great celestial king spread out, and all the divine light gathered, interweaving into a celestial king greatsword, which slashed down at Wanmi Shenxi. Then, he didn't stop there. He cast the divining divine technique. The sea of clover, the desolate mountain, the divine weapon bell, heavenly venerable Doran's enlightenment stone platform, and other divining divine images floated out one by one. These heavenly divine elephants rumbled as they descended together with the celestial king's sword. In the blink of an eye, they drowned Wanmi Shenxi. Boom! For a time, heaven-shaking explosions resounded. The space and the surroundings collapsed, and waves of destructive waves swept out in all directions. Smoke and dust billowed before dispersing. Divine Child of Wanmi was still standing in his original spot with a faint Tao glow surrounding his body. He was completely unharmed, and even the corners of his clothes were not damaged in the slightest. The great Tao of creation is said to be unparalleled in both offensive and defensive power. This is indeed the truth. With Brat Lin's tyrannical joint attack, it did not cause the slightest damage. It is more terrifying than I thought. Wuxing Crocodile's expression was solemn. Beside him, Ling Yun and Yin Yu looked at the battlefield with solemn expressions. In the sky, Divine Child of Wanmi was surrounded by the great Tao glow of creation. Like the immortal king of creation, he carried the blood-stained killing sword and once again stepped towards Lin Tian. Against creation, you are powerless. Without the help of that little beast, only death awaits you. Don't be too confident. Lin Tian stood in the sky, looking at the Tao glow around Divine Child of Wanmi's body. He felt the powerful divine power, but at this time, he didn't care at all. His expression was very calm. He shook the sacred sword in his hand, and golden divine light rushed up. The towering heaven sword momentum reappeared, becoming several times more terrifying than before. Clang! He took a step forward, and a total of 9 killing swords appeared beside him. All of them were extremely sharp. He used these 9 killing swords to slash at divine child of Wanmi. Then his right hand moved slightly, and the nameless great Tao precepts appeared, intertwining with the sacred sword from his right hand. He waved the sword calmly and slashed the 10th sword at divine child of Wanmi. It's futile. Divine child of Wanmi was expressionless, as if everything was under his control. He waved his sword casually and easily shattered the first 9 towering heaven-killing swords. Then, he slashed at Lin Tian's 10th sword gleam. Psst! Suddenly, a strange ear-piercing sound was heard. The great Tao glow of creation on divine child of Wanmi's sword was like a weak flame meeting a majestic wave. In the blink of an eye, it was annihilated, and wisps of green smoke were produced. Then, with a bang, divine child of Wanmi was directly sent flying. Drops of blood dripped from the hand that held the sword. At that time, everyone was shocked. That's that kid's nameless great Tao law. Whooshing crocodile's eyes lit up, and there was a thick demonic light intertwining in his pupils. It's really powerful. It actually annihilated the great Tao of creation so easily. Ling Yun's eyes widened. The great Tao of creation, which was ranked 3rd among the 3,000 great Taos, was actually annihilated so easily. Yenyaber was even more shocked and confused. She was an immortal spiritual body, a favorite of the great Tao. She was extremely sensitive to the path of Tao. However, at that moment, when she felt the Tao power that Lin Tian used, she could not tell what kind of great Tao it was. In the sky, divine child of Wanmi's hand that was holding the sword dripped with blood. For the first time, his expression changed. There was a trace of coldness on his expressionless face as he stared straight at Lin Tian. This is impossible. Previously, he did not have any emotional fluctuations. He had always been very calm, mainly because he controlled the great Tao of creation. He was confident that this great Tao could definitely kill Lin Tian. This was because in the cruel Wanmi God dynasty, he had relied on this great Tao of creation to obtain all kinds of resources and treasures from the Wanmi God dynasty. He had become the divine child of the Wanmi God dynasty and became a half-step emperor. It could be said that the great Tao of creation was his strongest reliance. However, now, Lin Tian had actually destroyed his protective great Tao glow and injured him. He could not believe it. Impossible. He stared at Lin Tian, no longer calm. His eyes were cold. Then, with a boom, the great Tao glow outside his body suddenly expanded. The great Tao of creation was more than 10 times stronger in an instant. It was like a great Tao volcano had erupted, causing the entire sky to tremble. Die! Staring at Lin Tian, he let out a low roar. The turbulent half-step emperor's might and the great Tao of creation merged and slashed at Lin Tian. In an instant, the void collapsed. The destructive power was like a monstrous wave that drowned Lin Tian. In the face of such a murderous power, Lin Tian's eyes were indifferent. His emotions did not change. I also know the great Tao of creation, he said coldly. As his words fell, there was a boom, and the nameless great path in his body boiled. The hazy light of the great path surged up and surrounded him. It made him seem as if he had descended from the heavens and was filled with supreme might of the great path. Clang! He shook the sacred sword in his hand, urging the great Tao sword glow to meet the oncoming Wanmi Shensi. The sword slashed at the sky. In the blink of an eye, the two collided, sword against sword, great Tao against great Tao, shaking the sky and filling it with divine brilliance. For a moment, the void in this place shook. The ground collapsed. Destructive sword light and great Tao power filled every corner. Back off! Whooshing Crocodile was moved. He hurriedly called for Yin Yup and Ling Yun to back off. In the blink of an eye, they were thousands of feet away from this place. The battle between Lin Tian and Wanmi Shensi was simply too terrifying. Boom! In the sky, Lin Tian and Wanmi Shensi continued to collide. Divine light surged, and killing light spread, shaking the great void. With a bang, Lin Tian once again broke through the great Tao glow outside Wan Mishenxi's body. His fist landed on his opponent's body, directly shattering half of Wan Mishenxi's body. Blood splattered in the void. Die! Wan Mishenxi swung his sword with half of his body, directly piercing Lin Tian's chest. The great Tao precepts then surged up, drowning Lin Tian's entire body and crushing him. Lin Tian was expressionless. The great Tao precepts in his body vibrated, directly shaking off Wan Mishenxi's great Tao glow. Then, holding the sacred sword in his right hand, the nameless great Tao glow intertwined and slashed down again. With a poof, Wan Mishenxi's head was split into two. Blood and brain matter splattered together. It was a shocking sight. Great! In the distance, Ling Yun could not help but call out. In another direction, the slayer of Wan Mishenxi and little Taichu were fighting. Looking in this direction, his eyes narrowed with obvious surprise. However, this surprise dissipated in an instant, and he returned to his cold and indifferent state. "Yeah." Little Taichu's voice was childish. It waved its little paw, and the six-colored divine light became stronger than before, pressing down on the slayer. The slayer of Wan Mishenxi was at the third heaven of the Emperor realm. He was very experienced in killing, and his divine concealment technique was superb. He dodged the six-colored divine light, slashed the bloodlust sword, and completely blocked the little Taichu. He was not at a disadvantage at all. "Ah!" Wan Mishenxi roared. His head was split open by Lin Tian, and the blood condensed into a sword again, gathering the great Tao glow of creation. It turned into an indestructible killing blade, breaking Lin Tian's defensive light screen and directly piercing into Lin Tian's body. Lin Tian's body trembled slightly, and blood flowed out. However, his eyes were still cold, and he slashed down with the sacred sword in his hand again. Lin Tian, Wan Mishenxi roared, and the great Tao of creation surged. In the blink of an eye, his body was reformed, and it became stronger than before. It rushed toward Lin Tian wildly. "Do you think you're so great just because you've mastered the great Tao of creation? Where did your composure go? Why are you barking like a dog?" Lin Tian's voice was indifferent. With a rumble, he activated the nameless great Tao and pressed it toward Wan Mishenxi's great Tao of creation. Then, he shook his right hand, and the golden pure yang flame surged out, like a golden sea of fire. Psst! His nameless great Tao law collided with Wan Mishenxi's great Tao of creation. After a few breaths of time, it directly annihilated the great Tao of creation and continued to envelop Wan Mishenxi, covering him. At the same time, the golden sea of fire followed closely behind, burning the void until it collapsed. It drowned Wan Mishenxi along with the nameless great Tao law. "Ah!" For a moment, roars and screams were heard. Wan Mishenxi struggled in the golden sea of fire, looking extremely pathetic. "Damn it!" Wan Mishenxi roared, and the half-step imperial aura surged. The great Tao of creation appeared again, and he rushed out in a sorry state. He stared at Lin Tian, and a few streaks of blood appeared in his eyes. He revealed a ruthless look and roared, "With my origin blood as a sacrifice, turn into a blood waterfall and shatter thousands of souls." With a rumble, a shocking blood waterfall rushed out from behind him, and a terrifying chill swept out. Chapter 1144. Genius 1 Second. Remember love divided by little? We provide you with exciting novels to read. The blood waterfall was tens of thousands of feet tall, and as soon as it appeared, it exuded a monstrous chilliness. It was as if the netherworld blood river had rushed out of hell and was about to annihilate all living beings in the world. The terrifying fluctuations made Whooshing Crocodile and the others in the distance feel shocked. "Love go little say, Chu die." Wan Mishenxi roared furiously, no longer as calm as he was at the beginning. He had truly transformed into a peerless god of death. With a loud bang, the blood waterfall fell from the sky, and the air was instantly annihilated. The sky was stained with a layer of blood. It was a shocking killing technique. Lin Tian's eyes were cold, and indifferent. He could clearly feel the horror of the blood-colored waterfall, but he was not afraid at all. With a buzz, he used his mind, and the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory rushed straight up, immediately emitting a domineering and peerless aura. He strode over and pushed the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory towards the blood-colored waterfall that Wanmi Shinsi had summoned. In an instant, the two collided and the sky was filled with the light of destruction. Ka! 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 The space collapsed in patches and couldn't be restored for a long time. The spatial turbulence flowed out uncontrollably. Die! Wanmi Shinsi roared and activated the blood-colored waterfall, making it stronger. Lin Tian's gaze was cold, and the golden blood energy was boiling. The reincarnation diagram shone brightly and became stronger at this moment. All of a sudden, the two collided violently, and shocking electric arcs intertwined with crackling sounds. Soon, dozens of breaths passed, and with a loud bang, the blood-colored waterfall that Wanmi Shinsi summoned exploded. Lin Tian pushed the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory upwards and pressed down on Wanmi Shinsi with an indifferent gaze. You-boom! The sky trembled and thunder rumbled. The power of the reincarnation diagram cut off all directions and landed on Wanmi Shinsi in the blink of an eye. Love go little say chew immediately, with a loud shattering sound. Wanmi Shinsi was crushed into pieces and blood splattered all over the sky. He has the absolute upper hand. This brat is now unimaginably powerful. With such combat strength, he can probably fight against quasi-emperors. In the distance, Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun looked at the battlefield with bright eyes. So powerful! Yin Er's eyes shone with a strange light. On the other side, the little Taichu was fighting the Chaos Killer Emperor from the all-extinguishing God Dynasty. It waved its little paws, and the six-colored divine light fell, suppressing the Chaos Killer Emperor from all directions. At the same time, the little guy tilted its little head from time to time to observe Lin Tian's battlefield. Seeing that Lin Tian had the absolute upper hand and was firmly suppressing Wanmi Shinsi, its big eyes could not help but curve in a small crescent. It squeaked softly and was not worried at all. It continued to wave its little paws, summoning more six-colored divine light, suppressing every inch of space around the Chaos Killer Emperor. The Chaos Killer Emperor was surrounded by a blood-red glow, and only his eyes could be seen. Like the little Taichu, he scanned the battlefield between Lin Tian and Wanmi Shinsi. Seeing that Wanmi Shinsi was being suppressed, there were traces of dark light intertwining in his eyes, like a ghost from hell. However, there was still a bone-chilling coldness in his eyes. Boom! In the sky, in the battlefield between Lin Tian and Wanmi Shinsi, the latter's blood-red glow sputtered and dyed the great void red. On the opposite side, the reincarnation divine painting roared. Lin Tian was like a war god descending to the world, his powerful divine might shaking the sky and suppressing all directions. Impossible! Wanmi Shinsi roared. I won't lose! Boom! The creation great path surged. Wanmi Shinsi did not even condense his physical body, but attacked Lin Tian with the great path again. Lin Tian looked indifferent. He took a step forward, and the nameless great path surged out. In the blink of an eye, it merged with the reincarnation divine painting of the monarch region, forming the strongest reincarnation divine painting of the great path. With a whoosh, it crushed Wanmi Shinsi's creation great path. Goodbye! His voice was cold. Holding the reincarnation divine painting of the great path, he mercilessly shrouded Wanmi Shinsi's shattered physical body. The killing light of the great path merged with the killing light of the monarch region, covering everything. We won completely. Kill him. In the distance, Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun spoke one after another. The light in their eyes became thicker, and they both laughed. Lin Tian looked indifferent. The reincarnation divine painting of the great path instantly became stronger, and all directions were completely suppressed at this moment. Clang! At this moment, the shocking sound of a sword resounded through the world. A glaring blood sword appeared from the void in the distant sky. It was mixed with a terrifying emperor's aura. At the moment when Lin Tian used the reincarnation divine painting of the Great Path to suppress Wami Shensi, its speed was extremely fast. Vaguely, the blood sword swept across the sky like a ferocious, demonic beast of death, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. Lin Tian's internal organs turned cold in an instant. He could clearly feel the terror of this sword, and he tried his best to dodge it. However, this sword was too fast and too powerful. It completely grasped the most critical moment when he was attacking Wami Shensi. It grasped the moment when the little Taichu and the Slayer were completely engaged in battle. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of him. Poof! The blood was glaring. Lin Tian's body exploded in the blink of an eye, dyeing the void red. Terrifying emperors intertwined, and the Great Path laws surged. His life aura disappeared without a trace in an instant. Lin Tian's. In the distance, the expressions of whooshing crocodile and the others changed drastically. Lin Tian was cut into pieces by a sword. All his life aura disappeared. This was death. On the other side of the battlefield, little Taichu looked in this direction and was stunned. His little paw stopped abruptly. Lin, the little guy, was stunned. In the distance, in the void, a figure surrounded by black light appeared. Only a pair of eyes could be seen. They were cold, deep, and intertwined with a powerful emperor's aura. He was at the fourth heaven of the emperor realm and had the unique aura of Wanmi Shensi, the second slayer. He's dead. With a cold laugh, Wami Shensi reassembled his body. He stared at Lin Tian's blood mist floating in the air. At this moment, he couldn't detect a trace of Lin Tian's life aura. I told you earlier. Today, there's no way you can survive. With cold light in his eyes and a cold smile on his face, he wasn't surprised by the appearance of the figure surrounded by black light. On the other side of the sky, the slayer from Wanmi Shensi's eyes were cold and emotionless. Obviously, he already knew that the figure surrounded by black light was here. Whooshing crocodile was furious. Bastard! Ling Yun's eyes turned red. At this moment, they didn't need to think to know that this was a trap. Wami Shensi, a half-step emperor, had sent out 2 Slayer Emperors and Wanmi Shensi, a half-step emperor. They didn't send one Slayer Emperor to pin down little Taichu, while the other Slayer Emperor attacked Lin Tian immediately. At that time, they might guess whether there were other Slayer Emperors hiding in this place. At that time, if the second Slayer Emperor attacked Lin Tian immediately, the success rate would be infinitely close to 100%. However, there might be some mistakes, and the little Taichu, who was at the Emperor level, might come back to help. Therefore, after sending one Slayer Emperor to pin down little Taichu, the 3 people from Wami Shensi, a half-step emperor, to fight against Lin Tian. They wanted to numb their minds and make them think that there was only one Slayer Emperor and a half-step emperor, Wami Shensi, here. Then, the other strongest Slayer Emperor hid in the void and looked for the best opportunity to kill Lin Tian. Damn it! Whooshing Crocodile's body was covered in violent, demonic light. At this moment, Lin Tian's life force could not be felt at all. Mission accomplished. Wami Shensi snorted and looked at Whooshing Crocodile and the others with cold eyes. It's your turn now. He held the blood-stained Slayer sword and approached Whooshing Crocodile and the others. The other 2 Slayer Emperors, one with bloody light and the other with black light, stared at little Taichu emotionlessly. Buzz! Suddenly, the bloody mist intertwined in the void, and a small purple wooden tablet appeared. It was covered with dense runes and seals. At this moment, it shone brightly and shattered with a crack. Then, the next moment, a majestic life force rushed out like the waves in the sea. The bloody mist floating in the surroundings gathered in the center in the blink of an eye. All of a sudden, the expressions of everyone in the area changed. This is the escape talisman. Lingyan was shocked and then delighted. Could it be? Buzz! In the void, the dense blood mist gathered as one, rolling and surging. Then, in the blink of an eye, Lin Tian's physical body was reformed. The life force spread and was still strong. He didn't die. The five elements crocodile revealed a joyful expression. He looked at the fragments of the small purple wooden tablet on the ground and knew the reason. That's right, this guy still has an escape talisman on him. The escape talisman saved his life. That scared me to death. Yinya heaved a sigh of relief. She was really frightened just now. Lin Tian saved his life with the help of the escape talisman. Now that his physical body was reformed, he could not help but gasp for breath. Although the life escape talisman had perfectly saved his life, he had truly experienced the feeling of death. Even someone as strong as him, after tasting the true feeling of death, it was still extremely unbearable. He looked up at Wanmi Shensi and the second Slayer, who was surrounded by black light, and clenched his fists tightly. How dare you? Wanmi Shensi stared at Lin Tian in shock and anger. Their combined sure-kill attack, the attack of Sha Di of the fourth heaven of chaos, still couldn't kill Lin Tian. Lin Tian was still alive. Even the two Slayers' eyes darkened. They glanced at the broken pieces of the escape talisman on the ground, and their eyes turned colder. Clang! The ear-piercing sound of the sword was heard again. The fourth heaven Slayer, who was surrounded by black light, attacked again. The violent Emperor's aura shook the surroundings. He used the Nirvana killer sword of Wanmi Shensi and slashed at Lin Tian quickly. In an instant, the space around them was destroyed. A space tunnel was cut open and went straight between Lin Tian's eyebrows. It was extremely fast and completely blocked Lin Tian's escape route, not giving Lin Tian any chance to dodge. Damn it! Ling Yun and the others were shocked again. The escape talisman saved Lin Tian's life, but now, the sword was going to kill him. Boom! At this moment, an earth-shattering and terrifying aura shot up into the sky. The six-color divine light filled the sky and almost suppressed the whole area. The 3,000 great ways were shaking, and the Nirvana killer sword, which was closing in on Lin Tian, was shattered. Chapter 1145. Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second Go. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The six-color divine light filled the sky, shattering the fourth heaven of chaotic Emperor's Nirvana killer sword that was wrapped in black light and slashing toward Lin Tian. The terrifying pressure made the whole world shake, and the firmament seemed to be collapsing at this moment. Not far away, little Taichu's snow-white hair stood on end, and his big eyes were filled with anger. This is... The two Slayers from the great extinguishing god dynasty turned pale at the same time. The pressure was too terrifying. Even though they had been emperors for tens of thousands of years, they could not help but feel terrified at this moment. Their backs turned cold instantly. At the same time, Lin Tian, Ling Yun, and the others were also shocked. It was the first time that the little guy had emitted such a terrifying divine power wave since he was born. Little guy, go! Kill them! Whooshing Crocodile shouted. Little Taichu opened his eyes wide in anger and stared at the fourth heaven of chaotic emperor from the great extinguishing god dynasty who was surrounded by black light. Boom! In an instant, more terrifying divine power rushed out of his young body, and the whole firmament changed color instantly. The two Slayers from the great extinguishing god dynasty were shocked and trembled at the same time. Retreat! The fourth heaven of chaotic emperor said in a deep voice and retreated quickly. At the same time, the third heaven of chaotic emperor and Wanmi Shensi retreated at the same time. They were shocked by the little guy's aura, which was too terrifying. They tore open a crack in the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Little Taichu opened his eyes wide and was angry like a child. He flapped the wings on his back, and the whole world shook even more violently. Crack! 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 The void shattered, and cracks appeared. The two Slayers and Wanmi Shensi from the great extinguishing god dynasty were shocked out of the crack. What? The fourth heaven of chaotic emperor's eyes were filled with shock, and his pupils could not help shaking. At this moment, the firmament shook again, and a terrifying gust of wind was set off. Roar! Beside the little guy, a true dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long appeared. It was huge and boundless, like a protective immortal spirit that overlooked the universe. Then, a huge celestial phoenix appeared together. Its entire body was fiery red, and it was filled with a horrifying heat. It was as if it could burn down the entire world. Then, in the next moment, the sound of ocean waves surged. A black tortoise emerged, and it was like an archaic divine mountain that opened up the primal chaos and roamed the 8 seas. In the end, a 5-colored vermilion bird soared into the sky. With a flap of its wings, 5-colored divine light filled the sky, interweaving with a sense of holiness. However, at the same time, it also carried with it a terrifying aura of destruction. This is the expressions of the 2 Slayer Emperors of the great extinguishing god dynasty changed completely. The 4 immortal spirits appeared beside the little Taichu, each of them exuding a terrifying aura. At this moment, they couldn't help but tremble as cold sweat trickled down their foreheads. Even Lin Tian and the rest, who had seen this scene before, could not help but feel shocked. This aura was too terrifying. The legendary 4 great immortal spirits of the great desolate era stay by his side. They seem to be guardian battle spirits. This little fellow is really. Yin-Ya-Er's eyes were full of strange light. Boom! The firmament shook, and the 6-colored divine light filled the sky, covering all directions. The little Taichu glared at the Slayer Emperor of the 4th level of Chaotic Realm. With a flap of its wings, the true dragon beside it roared, and the fiery phoenix soared into the sky. With a mighty aura of destruction, they dashed toward the Slayer Emperor. It had been nurtured in Lin Tian's body for nearly 10 years. During this period, the little fellow had been with Lin Tian all the time. Lin Tian was its most important family member. Now, seeing that Lin Tian was killed once and the Slayer Emperor attacked again, the little fellow was enraged like a child whose father had been bullied. Its majestic aura was about to overturn the world. Ow! Roar! The true dragon roared, and the fiery phoenix cried as if they were real. In the blink of an eye, they approached the Slayer Emperor of the 4th level of Chaotic Realm and drowned him. Puff! Emperor water splashed all over the sky. In the blink of an eye, the powerful Slayer Emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty was smashed into pieces. Damn it! The Slayer Emperor roared in shock and anger. His emperor body was shattered by the little Taichu's true dragon fairy spirit and the blood phoenix fairy spirit. With the addition of a terrifying and unknown force, it was difficult for him to reform his body in a short time. Only his divine soul escaped in a sorry state. The little Taichu widened its eyes in anger. With a flap of its wings, the black tortoise fairy spirit and the vermilion bird fairy spirit flew toward it. Roar! Ah! The black tortoise's voice shook the world, and the vermilion bird's cry echoed in the sky. With one on the left and the other on the right, they sealed the sky and trapped the earth. They rushed toward the divine soul of the 4th level of Chaotic Realm. In the blink of an eye, the divine soul of the 4th level of Chaotic Realm was drowned. The supreme divine radiance concealed everything. No! A terrified voice was heard. The next moment, the black tortoise fairy spirit and the vermilion bird fairy spirit disappeared. The world fell silent. The Slayer Emperor of the 4th level of Chaotic Realm had disappeared completely. His body and divine soul were gone. Second forefather, Wami Shinsi, couldn't help but cry out as his body trembled. On the other side, the Slayer Emperor of the 3rd level of Chaotic Realm also trembled violently. His eyes were full of shock. The 4th level of Chaotic Realm Emperor of the Wanmi Divine Dynasty, a peerless Slayer Emperor, was killed just like that. Oh my God! This, not far away, Ling Yun and the others were also stunned at this moment. They were shocked by the little guy's peerless divine power. An expert of the 4th level of Emperor Realm, who was known for killing, was killed by the little guy so easily. Yin-Ya-Er's eyes were full of shock. She couldn't help but look at Lin Tian and said, "The little guy really likes you." She was not stupid. She could tell, or rather, Anyone could tell at a glance that the quiet and cute little Taichu was so angry because Lin Tian was almost killed by the fourth level of Chaotic Realm Emperor of the Wanmi Divine Dynasty. After all, we have been together for such a long time, Lin Tian said with a smile. Yes, we have been together for almost 10 years. Wuxing Crocodile bared his teeth. Then, he looked at the sky and said to the little Taichu, Little guy, there is still an old bastard. Kill him. The Slayer Emperor of the fourth level of Chaotic Realm was killed in body and soul. The anger in the little Taichu's eyes disappeared by half. At this moment, hearing Wuxing Crocodile's voice, he looked at Lin Tian and blinked. Then, he tilted his head and looked at the Slayer Emperor of the third level of Chaotic Realm. Yeah, the little guy shouted. Then, the wings on his back shook slightly. Suddenly, the six-colored divine light shrouded the Slayer Emperor of the third level of Chaotic Realm. The Slayer Emperor was suppressed from all directions, and the whole space was sealed. The Slayer Emperor didn't dare to be careless. He quickly launched various secret skills of the Wanmi Divine Dynasty to fight against the little guy. However, at this time, because the little guy was angry, the power he drew was much stronger than before. The six-colored divine light became so much stronger that it seemed to be able to destroy everything in the world. The Slayer Emperor was injured again and again. In front of absolute power, the so-called combat experience is a joke. In the distance, Wuxing Crocodile looked at the Slayer Emperor of the third level of Chaotic Realm and sneered. The gap between this old bastard and the little guy is too big. It's like the gap between heaven and earth. Lin Tian nodded. Although he didn't underestimate the little guy, he was still shocked by the little guy's strength. He smiled and looked at the Wanmi Divine Sun on the other side. With a buzz, he put away the divine sword and took out the upper-grade divine bow. He held the bow with his left hand and pulled the bowstring with his right hand until it was in the shape of a full moon. Suddenly, the void rumbled. His golden divine power and the nameless Tao Law quickly entered the bow. The spiritual chi in the void also rolled in and condensed into the arrow of the Great Path in the blink of an eye. The arrow of the Great Path was about 3 feet long. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a terrifying wave that could penetrate everything. It was terrifying. He raised the divine bow, and with a thought in his sea of consciousness, the 3-foot-long arrow of the Great Path locked onto the Wanmi Divine Sun. The Wanmi Divine Sun trembled and turned to look. His expression changed drastically. You kill, Lin Tian said. He released the bowstring with his right hand. Suddenly, with a whoosh, the 3-foot-long arrow of the Great Path rushed out. A large tunnel was instantly pierced through the void. At the same time, around the 3-foot-long arrow of the Great Path, streaks of black lightning intertwined. At the same time, the soul of a blood-red demonic dragon appeared. It roared at the sky, shaking the mountains and rivers in all directions. What a terrifying arrow! The Wanmi Divine Sun trembled. He used the divine concealment technique and disappeared into the void, escaping with all his might. However, the 3-foot-long arrow of the Great Path followed him like a shadow. It directly entered the void and shook him out. The Wanmi Divine Sun was shocked and angry. How could poof? The 3-foot-long arrow of the Great Path pierced through and immediately shattered his physical body. Blood dyed a large area of the void red. It was a shocking sight. Damn it! The Wanmi Divine Sun roared. His physical body reassembled in the blink of an eye, and there was fear in his eyes. It was also at this time that Lin Tian's second arrow of the Great Path was ready. The mighty lightning filled the sky and whistled. Rumble! The entire void shook and collapsed inch by inch. The second arrow of the Great Path was right in front of the Wanmi Divine Sun, in the blink of an eye. At the same time, Lin Tian was extremely fast. He pulled the bow 7 times in a row, and another 7 arrows of the Great Path gathered. Each arrow condensed an unparalleled destructive power, mixed with his nameless Great Path precepts. It was terrifying. The Wanmi Divine Sun was completely terrified. After the battle with Lin Tianyi, he was already very weak. At this time, facing such destructive arrows, and 9 of them in a row, he was completely powerless to resist. He could only frantically escape into the distance. However, the arrows of the great path that Lin Tian summoned with the celestial slaying bow would not stop until they were stained with the target's blood. They chased after the figure of the Wanmi, divine sun. After a dozen breaths, they suppressed the destructive arrow formation together. Arg! With a shrill scream, the Wanmi divine sun's body and spiritual soul exploded together. His body and soul were destroyed on the spot and disappeared between heaven and earth. Almost at the same time, on the other side of the firmament, the six-colored divine light dyed the sky with 6 divine colors. A 6-colored hurricane was born. It was unstoppable and indestructible. It shattered the great path divine technique that the Wanmi divine dynasty slayer of the third heaven of chaos held up. It then directly drowned him, shattering his imperial body and annihilating his spiritual soul at the same time. P.S. The third update is here. I hope everyone has a good time watching. Then, today is the last day of 2016. Tomorrow will usher in the first day of 2017. Here, I wish everyone a Happy New Year and a Happy New Year. Thank you everyone for your constant support. Thank you. Chapter 1146. After Shinsi Wanmi was killed by Lin Tian and the 2 slayers were killed by Little Taichu, the place quieted down. Little Taichu fluttered its wings and flew back. This time, it landed on Lin Tian's shoulder and rubbed against Lin Tian's cheek intimately. Ha! Lin Tian chuckled and rubbed the little guy's head. Once again, it was all thanks to the little guy. Otherwise, he would have died here, and so would the others. So powerful. It's beyond imagination, little guy. Ling Yin stared at little Taichu and said, "Little guy is so powerful." Yin Yip praised little Taichu. The 5 elements crocodile also opened his mouth and was not stingy with his words of praise. A slayer at the 4th heaven of chaotic realm and a 3rd heaven of chaotic realm were killed by the angry little guy like Tofu. This kind of combat strength was really amazing. Yeah. Being praised, the little guy's big eyes suddenly curved into a pair of small crescent moons. It was charmingly naive and very cute. Looking at the little guy's cute appearance, the group couldn't help but laugh again. Wuxing Crocodile then looked at Lin Tian and said, "However, it's all thanks to the escape talisman this time. Otherwise, we would have been finished by that sword." Lin Tian nodded in agreement. That's true. When he was fighting with Shinsi Wanmi, the slayer at the 4th heaven of chaotic realm from Shinsi Wanmi dynasty grasped the timing perfectly. It was really a fatal blow. At that time, if it weren't for the escape talisman, he would have been dead. These sneaky guys are really unscrupulous in order to achieve their goals. 2 Slayer and Shinsi Wanmi came together. They used 1 Emperor to pin down Little Taichu and then used Shinsi Wanmi to paralyze us. They made us think that only the Slayer and Shinsi Wanmi were here. The other strongest Slayer was hiding in the dark and waiting for the best opportunity to assassinate. How insidious! Ling Yun gritted his teeth and then sneered. However, this time, I'm afraid this bloodline is really going to cry. 2 Slayer and a Shinsi, who mastered the creation Great Tao, were killed. The loss is really TSK. A Slayer at the 3rd heaven, a Slayer at the 4th heaven of chaotic realm, and a Shinsi, who mastered the creation Great Tao. They were almost half of Shinsi Wanmi dynasty's territory. However, on this day, almost half of the Wanmi dynasty was destroyed in this place. The loss was too great a loss. This is what they call the evils they bring upon themselves are the hardest to bear. Do you really think you're that great? Who can kill you? You think anyone can assassinate you? Wuxing Crocodile also sneered. Lin Tian's gaze was deep and profound. He paused for a moment and glanced at Yin Yu, smiling faintly. After that, he glanced at the distant sky, his eyes gleaming with a cold light as he coldly laughed. This time, let's play big. Hearing him say this, 5 Elements Crocodile and the rest were all stunned. What's the big game? Ling Yin was curious. You'll know in a while, Lin Tian said. He looked at Yin Yip and said, Later, I'll have to trouble you. I'll do my best. Yin Yip smiled. She was very smart. Although she didn't understand the specific meaning of Lin Tian's words at this time, she understood that Lin Tian wanted her to calculate something, because the only thing she could help Lin Tian now was divine divination. Lin Tian smiled at Yin Yer. After that, he gazed into the distance and said, "Let's go. We'll be guests at the 4 strongholds of the myriad extinguishing divine dynasty. Maybe we'll be able to obtain some valuable treasures." The Wanmi dynasty has 4 strongholds in the 9th heaven. They are located in 4 different domains. Back then, with the help of Wu Yi, he and Wuxing Crocodile learned about these strongholds from the sea of consciousness of several powerful assassins of the Wanmi dynasty. After coming to the 9th heaven a few years ago, they didn't make a move because there are half-step emperors in those strongholds. At that time, they couldn't chew on these 4 tough bones. However, it doesn't matter now. He no longer put half-step emperors in his eyes. He can kill them with absolute combat power. Even if he encounters a quasi-emperor, he won't be afraid of them. At the same time, with little Tai Chu by his side, he didn't have to worry about anything. Based on the terrifying divine might that little Tai Chu emitted when he was angry, he was sure that even someone at the 7th layer of chaos would be no match for him. Now it's time to make a move on these 4 strongholds. Then, he will send a gift of destruction to the Wanmi dynasty. Wuxing Crocodile listened to Lin Tian's words, and its eyes lit up. This Grandpa Crocodile likes this. It sneered. "Let's go. Let's kill this group of smelly rats." Ling Yun gritted his teeth. At that moment, the group rose into the sky together. Lin Tian led the way, heading towards the southwest of the East region. There is a powerful stronghold of the Wanmi dynasty in this heaven, and there are half-step emperors guarding it. The 9th heaven, an unknown place, the place where the Wanmi dynasty was established. What? 2nd ancestor, 3rd ancestor, Lu Shi, the one who controls fortune all. How is this possible? In a pitch-black palace, several figures stood together, trembling nonstop. They were shocked, angry, and frightened. Not long ago, their bloodline received the news of Lin Tian's appearance and Lin Tian's whereabouts in the East region. The 2 Slayer Emperors and Wanmi Shensi went there together, determined to kill Lin Tian to erase the shame that Lin Tian brought to their Wanmi dynasty. The big shots of the Wanmi dynasty were waiting for the triumphant return of the 2 Slayer Emperors and Wanmi Shensi. They didn't doubt that the 2 Slayer Emperors and Wanmi Shensi would fail. Even if Lin Tian had an Emperor-level beast with him, with such a lineup, Lin Tian would definitely be wiped out, turning Lin Tian into ashes. However, just now, in the Wanmi temple, the soul lamps of the 2 Emperors and Wanmi Shensi were all extinguished, indicating that the 2 Slayer Emperors and Wanmi Shensi, who went to kill Lin Tian, were all dead. With the 2 ancestors and Lu Shi, who controls the fortune Great Tao, as the bait, how could they fail? How could they die? The big shots of this bloodline trembled in fear. Is the little beast with him that powerful? These big shots of the Wanmi dynasty were all in the quasi-emperor realm. Each of them had cultivated for more than 10,000 years, and each of them had a firm state of mind. But now, they were frightened and panicked, because the 2 Slayer Emperors and Wanmi Shensi of their bloodline, who controlled the fortune Great Tao, were all killed on the same day. At this time, the main reason they could think of for the death of the 2 Emperors and Wanmi Shensi was the little beast with Lin Tian. Only that little beast had the possibility of killing the Slayer Emperors of their bloodline. How could this be? How could this be? In the dark Great Hall, the big shots were all trembling in fear. At this moment, the big shots of this bloodline on the surface gradually revealed regret in their eyes. They regretted why their bloodline received the mission to assassinate Lin Tian. They regretted why they didn't send a half-step emperor to kill Lin Tian from the start, allowing Lin Tianyi to grow to where he was now, causing heavy losses to their Wanmi dynasty time and time again. This time, 2 Slayer Emperors and a Wanmi Shensi, who controlled the fortune Great Tao, were killed. This was almost half of their bloodline. Ah! Someone roared in anger, fear, regret, unwillingness, and various other emotions. Should we inform the Grand Ancestor? But But the Grand Ancestor has been in seclusion for 3,000 years. If we rashly disturb, how can we not inform the Grand Ancestor of such a huge matter? One voice after another resounded in the dark hall. Ah! Angry roars mixed with regret echoed in the great hall. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Lin Tianyi and the others came to a cliff. There were shrubs and weeds everywhere. It was very ordinary. Lin Tian stood at the front and looked down the cliff indifferently. Is there a stronghold of the Wanmi dynasty here? Ling Yun looked down and asked Lin Tian. Yes. Lin Tian Dao. He didn't say much and called the group to jump down the cliff. Then, he raised his right hand in midair and smashed down with his fist. In an instant, with a loud bang, the void under his fist shattered. Talisman runes shattered and a barrier was broken, revealing a small space behind it. There were dozens of magnificent palaces sitting there. Ling Yun narrowed his eyes. There really is one. They hid under such an ordinary cliff and even set up a powerful barrier. How cautious. Yin Yuer said. Charge in. Whooshing Crocodile sneered. Ya! Little Tai Chu laid on Lin Tian's shoulder and cried out in a childish voice, as if it was blowing a horn. Lin Tian was at the very front, entering with a single step. Yin Yuer, Whooshing Crocodile, and Ling Yun followed behind and stepped in. Clang! 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 The sound of swords was ear-piercing. When they had just entered, several hundred figures appeared at the first instant. Numerous bloody swords of slaughter slashed over. At the same time, strands of slaughter patterns appeared in this space, and a killing light filled the sky. They enveloped the group of people. Among them, more than 90% of the attack force was directed at Lin Tian, and the killing might surged like an ocean. Clearly, when Lin Tian broke through the barrier of the all-extermination stronghold, the group of assassins inside had already discovered the group of people. When the group of people stepped into the stronghold space behind the barrier, all of their killing methods were pressed together. Boom! This small space trembled, and the big cracks in the void spread out like a spider web. The battle formation was a little scary. Lin Tian had a cold smile on his face. Without any unnecessary movements, he raised his right hand and punched out. Boom! The powerful punch was thrown out with his sixth sky of Nirvana realm cultivation. With the suppression of his reincarnation imperial physique, it instantly annihilated all the murderous light of the blood swords, destroyed all the murderous runes, and shattered a large part of the void. After that, the shocking power of his fist did not dissipate. It spread forward like water ripples and destroyed dozens of powerful assassins on the spot. They were instantly destroyed. There's nothing to say. Kill, he called out to Whooshing Crocodile and the others. Chapter 1147. Lin Tian naturally wouldn't show any mercy to the people of the great extinguishing God dynasty. He stepped into the stronghold and directly killed them. After the first punch, he immediately followed up with a second punch. The terrifying power of the punch destroyed everything in its path. With a cracking sound, the space in this all-annihilation stronghold collapsed one after another as dozens of experts were annihilated in body and soul. Heh! Whooshing Crocodile sneered. Gray demonic light intertwined, enveloping all directions. 9 divine light swords rushed out from Ling Yun's back. Each of them seemed to be real, intertwining with extremely powerful sword power. Even Yinya made her move. A large amount of immortal spirit light fluttered, and dense Tao light naturally emerged. Suddenly, the powerful great extinguishing assassins in the stronghold were shattered one after another. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. Lin Tian, a shout sounded, and a faint emperor aura surged. A half-step emperor rushed out from one of the majestic palaces. His eyes were filled with dense, killing intent, but when he saw the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder, he was incomparably afraid. After all, 2 years ago, the news of the little Taichu easily killing several quasi-emperors in the Taichu Immortal Ridge had already spread throughout the ninth heaven. This half-step emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty naturally knew about it. It was impossible for him to not be afraid of the little Taichu. Lin Tian was expressionless. Without saying anything, he waved his left hand, and a peak high-grade Saint Bao was directly taken out. Buzz! Golden divine power surged, and the laws of the great Tao surged. He activated the high-grade Saint Bao with all his strength, and in the blink of an eye, a 3-foot-long great Tao killing arrow was condensed. The half-step emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty was shocked. 2 years ago, although Lin Tian had killed many half-step emperors, he relied on the killing formation he had carved in advance. His own strength wasn't enough to be the opponent of a half-step emperor. When this person saw Lin Tian, he was only afraid of the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder. He didn't put Lin Tian in his eyes. However, at this time, seeing Lin Tian take out this killing arrow, this person immediately trembled. The 3-foot-long killing arrow clearly made him feel the threat of death at this time. He couldn't help but feel a chill on his back. Lin Tian's eyes were indifferent. His powerful spiritual sense allowed him to clearly sense what this half-step emperor was thinking. "Do you think that I've wasted the past 2 years?" he said indifferently. As his words fell, his right hand loosened. The 3-foot-long great Tao killing arrow instantly flew out like lightning, shattering a large area of the void. Ka-ka-ka! Black lightning interweaved around the killing arrow. At the same time, the blood-colored nether demon dragon's soul also appeared. In the blink of an eye, it rushed in front of this half-step emperor, and a tyrannical killing aura directly enveloped him. "Break for me!" This half-step emperor roared and resisted with all his strength. However, he still couldn't block this arrow. He was shot into pieces on the spot, and a bloody mist floated in the air. It was very dazzling, and it was very shocking. Damn it! This person was shocked and furious. His shattered flesh wriggled and quickly reassembled. However, Lin Tian didn't want to give him such a chance. With a step of the yin-yang steps, he directly arrived beside this person's shattered body. Buzz! With a thought, the reincarnation diagram rushed up. The great Tao law surged up, and in the blink of an eye, it condensed into a great Tao reincarnation diagram. "I'll send you on your way," he said indifferently. The great Tao reincarnation diagram mercilessly suppressed down and completely activated the fighting strength of the sixth sky of Nirvana realm. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, this half-step emperor's flesh was crushed even more, and his soul was also crushed. Both his body and soul were destroyed. "My lord!" This place, a group of cultivators were shocked. The strongest expert of their lineage here, a half-step emperor, was actually killed by Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. "Powerful," Ling Yun said from the side and laughed continuously. "Let's use the Great Five Elements technique." Whooshing Crocodile chuckled. The Great Five Elements technique was activated, and it turned into a huge storm, displaying its most powerful killing technique. Yin Yip-Er's attack was simple and elegant. Immortal spiritual light interweaved, and the great Tao surged, sealing the surrounding space. The Tao light was shocking. Blood mist splashed out, and in the blink of an eye, another large group of great extinguishing divine dynasty's assassins were killed. Lin Tian stood in the sky and drew his bow again. Once the bow was drawn, dozens of arrows were shot out. Each arrow was interweaved with shocking killing power. Although it was far from the great Tao killing arrow that he shot with his full strength, it was still terrifying. After all, it was shot out by a high-grade sacred weapon with his sixth sky of Nirvana realm cultivation. It was easy for him to kill ordinary Nirvana realm cultivators. Ah! Miserable screams continued to resound in this small space, and blood light exploded one after another. Lin Tianyi and the others were all extraordinary. The weakest among them was at the third sky of Nirvana realm. How could ordinary people be their match? When the few of them attacked together, it was simply a one-sided massacre for the people in the great extinguishing divine dynasty's stronghold. No one could stop them, and they couldn't even run away. Blood lights splashed out, and in the blink of an eye, the ground was dyed red. In this way, after a quarter of an hour, the place was quiet. All the assassins in this stronghold were killed. I have reached the third sky of Nirvana realm for the second time. Now, even if I face an ordinary seventh sky of Nirvana realm expert, I am confident that I can win. Whooshing crocodile clicked its tongue. Its cultivation had reached the third sky of Nirvana realm. At this time, it had tested its current real combat strength and was very satisfied. In short, it was a satisfying kill. Ling Yun laughed. Lin Tian glanced at the crocodile and the human, smiled at Yin Yumur, and then walked to the dozens of palaces in this space. Take all the valuable things away, he said. Of course, Ling Yun said. The group turned over the dozens of palaces in this place one after another, and found more than 40 million kilograms of Ling Jing, dozens of high-grade sacred weapons, hundreds of low-grade and middle-grade sacred weapons, and a lot of Dao weapons and various Baodin treasures. This is really... Yin Yer was a little surprised. She had practiced cultivation with Master God Diviner, and knew that he was an honest person. Although he had mastered the Tao of the workings of heaven and the workings of heaven, when people asked him for help, he would accept very little in return. Because of that, this was the first time she had ever seen a treasure trove like this. Every time this branch accepts an assassination commission, the reward is extremely high. This stronghold is located in the ninth heaven. There are countless sects and inheritances in this heaven. Naturally, there are many dark missions for this branch. In this way, even the accumulated treasures of this stronghold are enough to match any second-level force in this heaven. Whooshing Crocodile said, even among the top 9 forces in terms of resources and various treasures, I am afraid that the all-extinguishing divine dynasty is absolutely the first. Even the most mysterious ethereal mountain can't compare with it. It should be. Lin Tian nodded. He didn't say much, put away these things, and then asked the group to leave this small space. Returning to the cliff, he pressed down with the reincarnation diagram again, completely destroying the all-extinguishing stronghold below. Next, all-extinguishing stronghold, western region. He opened his mouth and looked at the little Taichu on his shoulder. In the ninth heaven, there are 4 great domains. In each domain, there is an all-extinguishing stronghold. Now, he wants to destroy all of them. Little Taichu called out in a childish voice, waved his little paw gently, and directly opened a spacious void portal. Let's go, Lin Tiandao. Immediately, the group stepped into the portal and soon arrived at the western region. We're in the western region again. Speaking of which, when we first came to this heaven, we were in this great domain. Whooshing Crocodile clicked his tongue and said, let's get down to business, let's go. Lin Tiandao. He led the way at the front. After 2 days, they appeared outside a deep mountain in the mortal world of this great domain. This deep mountain was rather desolate. There were few traces of humans, and even birds were hard to find. He walked at the very front with 5 elements crocodile, and the others following behind him. They directly stepped in, breaking open an enormous ceiling formation pattern, and entered the great annihilation stronghold. Lin Tian, you. In this all-extinguishing stronghold, there were many assassins. When they saw Lin Tian, they were shocked, angry, and afraid. They couldn't help but stare at the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder, with unconcealable fear in their eyes. Lin Tian did not waste any words, directly attacking, killing light, slashing out in all directions. At the same time, Whooshing Crocodile and the others also did the same. All kinds of divine lights surged. Soon, half a quarter of an hour passed, and the stronghold was completely dyed red with blood. Corpses fell to the ground one by one. Lin Tian put away all the valuable treasures in this stronghold and used the sword chi to cut this stronghold into pieces. Then, he withdrew the sword will and said to the little Taichu, southern region, "Yeah." The little guy waved his little claws and directly tore open the void portal. "Let's go." Lin Tiandao. The group left this place through the void portal and entered the southern region in the blink of an eye. Then, Lin Tian led the way in front and found the all-extinguishing dynasty stronghold in this great domain. In half a quarter of an hour, he killed all the assassins there and took away all the valuable items. After completely destroying this stronghold, he let the little Taichu open the void portal to the northern region. He called Wuxing Crocodile, Ling Yun, and the others and directly stepped in. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the northern region. Whoosh! In the northern region, a gentle breeze blew, and the mountains and rivers were beautiful. The last one. Lin Tian narrowed his eyes and said, "Let's go." Wuxing Crocodile sneered. Lin Tian nodded and led the way in front. After about 3 days, they arrived at the all-extinguishing dynasty stronghold in this great domain. He directly waved the sword manual of supremacy and used the sword chi of extinction to cut open the defensive barrier outside this stronghold and stepped in. Lin Tian. In this stronghold, the group of assassins had the same expression as the assassins in the other 3 strongholds. They were shocked, angry, and fearful. Lin Tian smiled, and the immortal slaying bow, an upper-grade sacred weapon, appeared. He directly pulled the string of the sacred bow and condensed dozens of killing arrows. Whoosh! 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 The dozens of killing arrows pierced through the air and were unstoppable. In the blink of an eye, dozens of powerful assassins were killed. Among them, at least half of them were in the Nirvana realm, but they were no match for these killing arrows. It was useless even if they used all their battle strength. Yin Yip Wuxing Crocodile, and Ling Yun each attacked. Their battle strength was unparalleled, and the assassins were killed on the spot. Boom! Chapter 1148. Lin Tian raised his head and looked at the fleeing quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty with an indifferent expression. Want to escape? You can't escape. He stepped forward at an extremely fast speed, and with a flicker of the yin and yang steps, he appeared in front of the quasi-emperor and threw out a punch. Boom! As he punched down, the entire space trembled. The quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty gritted his teeth and also threw out a punch, bringing along a faint emperor pressure as it collided with Lin Tian's punch. The 2 fists collided in the blink of an eye, producing a loud bang. The body of the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty swayed, and a trace of surprise appeared on his withered face. He didn't expect Lin Tian's physique to be so strong. It was even slightly stronger than a quasi-emperor like him. He gritted his teeth, glanced at the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder, and without any hesitation, he changed direction and fled into the distance again at a very fast speed. 2 years ago, the little Taichu's divine power had spread throughout the entire ninth heaven. At this time, the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty didn't dare to fight at all, because he knew very well that he wouldn't be able to obtain any results if he forced himself to fight. With the little Taichu beside Lin Tian, he couldn't do anything to Lin Tian. If he stayed, he would only be suppressed and killed. For a time, the sound of breaking through the air was extremely loud. The quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty crossed thousands of feet in the blink of an eye. At the same time, he cast the great extinguishing divine dynasty's divine concealment technique, merged into the void, and fled into the distance at an even faster speed. Lin Tiantan glanced at the quasi-emperor indifferently, then turned his head to look at the little Taichu on his shoulder. Yeah, the little guy had stayed in Lin Tian's body for 10 years and was almost connected to Lin Tian's mind. Naturally, he knew what Lin Tian was thinking. With a flap of his wings, a circle of 6-colored divine light suddenly spread out, completely confining the space in this place. Immediately, with a bang, the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty was forcibly shaken out of the void, unable to escape. Don't worry, I won't kill you immediately. As a quasi-emperor, you will be of some use in the future. Lin Tiandao. There was no expression on his face. He was calm and indifferent. He took a step forward and punched out with the primal Chaos Emperor fist. The might of his fist shook the 9 heavens. The quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty gritted his teeth in shock and anger. The killing intent in his eyes surged like the boundless sea. Damn it! At this moment, little Taichu sealed every inch of the void around him with his powerful six-colored divine light. There was no hope for him to escape. At this moment, he directly propped up a powerful killing technique and unleashed rolling waves of divine power toward Lin Tiansha. Lin Tianling humphed. His golden blood chi pierced through the clouds, and his primal chaos emperor fist became even more tyrannical. In the blink of an eye, the killing forces of the two collided. The entire all-extinguishment stronghold shook. Even though there was a powerful quasi-emperor level formation protecting it, it began to crumble at this moment, unable to withstand such tyrannical power. Boom! 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 The space shook violently. Destructive waves surged in all directions, shocking everyone in the all-extinguishing god dynasty. This kid can indeed fight against a quasi-emperor now. He's not at a disadvantage at all. Ling Yun exclaimed. After all, he has consecutively crossed 3 small stages and undergone 3 nirvana metamorphoses in 2 years. Moreover, the duration of each nirvana metamorphosis is much longer than that of ordinary nirvana realm cultivators. The qualitative change in his strength is naturally beyond imagination. Wuxing Crocodile said. Yinya watched the battle between Lin Tian and the quasi-emperor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. She could not help but be shocked. Her beautiful eyes glowed. So powerful, her entire body was surrounded by immortal spiritual light. She was like a Taoist woman with an ethereal temperament. Only a quasi-emperor here is worthy of my attention. The others are not a big deal. The strongest is only at the 6th heaven of Nirvana realm. Quickly get rid of them. Wuxing Crocodile said. Ling Yun sneered. One word, kill. Both the alligator and the human had extraordinary aptitudes and were extremely powerful. They began to attack with all their might, killing the powerful assassins one by one. At the same time, Yinya made her move. She wielded the immortal spiritual Great Path and borrowed the power of the Great Path to suppress dozens of powerful cultivators in an instant. This was a battle without any suspense. Facing the 2 people and the alligator, the group of assassins in this place could not resist at all. In addition, the little Taichu used the 6-colored divine light to seal the surroundings. These assassins could not even escape. After more than 15 minutes, the group of ordinary assassins in this all-extinguishing god dynasty stronghold were all killed by the 2 people and the alligator. It was also at this time that the space roared loudly. In the sky, Lin Tian propped up the Great Path reincarnation diagram. Like the war god of the 9 heavens, he pulled the battle with the quasi-emperor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty to the end. The power of his reincarnation royal region merged with the nameless Great Path and struck the quasi-emperor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty down into the void. Red blood splattered all over the sky, which was a ghastly sight. Then, he quickly formed a seal and propped up the 4-symbol seal with his 6th heaven of nirvana cultivation. The silver Tao diagram descended majestically and entered the body of the all-extinguishing god dynasty quasi-emperor in the blink of an eye, completely sealing his cultivation and mobility. The all-extinguishing god dynasty quasi-emperor was shocked and furious. You deserve, bang. Lin Tian descended from the sky and stomped on the chest of the quasi-emperor. Instantly, the sound of bones shattering could be heard, causing the quasi-emperor to scream on the spot as blood kept flowing out of his mouth. You deserve to die. We will not let you go. You will attract the patriarchs to personally take action. The patriarchs will avenge us and make you unable to reincarnate forever. This person knew that he could not live, and his expression was very ferocious. Patriarchs? Lin Tian looked down at this person. With a wave of his right hand, he pulled out a consciousness imprint. It was the image of the 2 Slayer Emperors of the all-extinguishing god dynasty being killed by the little Taichu. You mean these 2 people? The all-extinguishing god dynasty quasi-emperor stared at the consciousness imprint that Lin Tian pulled out and trembled violently. The ferocious look on his face disappeared completely and was replaced by disbelief. The emperors and patriarchs of their lineage had already been dispatched to kill Lin Tian, but 2 of them had been killed. Their lineage only had a total of 4 emperors. At this moment, his eyes and face were filled with horror. He looked at Lin Tian and the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder in horror. Ah! Lin Tian stomped on this person's chest with his right leg. With a forceful shake, this all-extinguishing god dynasty quasi-emperor expert immediately screamed again. Are we not going to kill him? The whooshing crocodile and the others came over and asked curiously. Not for now. Let him live. He will be useful in the future. Lin Tian on Dao, whooshing crocodile, and the others were a little suspicious. However, they did not think too much about it. Ling Yun said, let's search for the treasures here first. Lin Tian nodded. Soon, he found all the valuable things in the all-extinguishing god dynasty stronghold and put them away. Let's go. He grabbed the suppressed all-extinguishing god dynasty quasi-emperor and used the reincarnation map to completely destroy this stronghold. Then, he called whooshing crocodile and the others and left. In the blink of an eye, they were thousands of feet away from the all-extinguishing god dynasty stronghold. After that, the group sped up. After about a few hours, they entered a deep mountain. This time, all the all-extinguishing god dynasty strongholds that we know of have been destroyed. This lineage should not have any other strongholds. Whooshing crocodile said, as if he had not had enough. Ling Yun's eyes lit up. This time we've made a big profit. After destroying the 4 strongholds of the all-extinguishing god dynasty in the 9th heaven, they plundered a total of more than 100 million caddies of Lingjing, 3 sacred weapons, hundreds of divine weapons, more than 1,000 Dao weapons and immortal weapons, as well as countless Baodan treasures and other rare divine materials. As he said that, he suddenly looked at the quasi-emperor in the all-extinguishing god dynasty stronghold that Lin Tian captured. He looked a little curious and asked Lin Tian Dao, by the way, why didn't you kill this guy at that time? The 5-element crocodile nodded slightly when he heard that. He looked at Lin Tian and said, that's right. Why did you capture this guy? Even Yin Yum was curious. She turned her head and looked at Lin Tian. Through him, we can find the stronghold of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. Lin Tian said, what? Whooshing crocodile and the others were all shocked. The quasi-emperor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, who was captured by Lin Tian, had a look of fear in his eyes. He was terrified that the 2 emperors of his lineage were killed by the little Taichu. At this time, when he heard Lin Tian's words, he trembled in horror, then gritted his teeth and said, You want to search my soul to find the stronghold of the main clan? Don't dream. I don't know the stronghold of the main clan. You can search my sea of consciousness and soul, but you won't find anything in this regard. Lin Tian glanced at the man with a blank expression, who said, I want to search your sea of consciousness and soul. As he spoke, he tilted his head to look at Yin Yum and said, I'm counting on you now. Use your divination skills and use the unique aura of this quasi-emperor, great extinguishing god dynasty's ancient scripture to deduce the location of their main clan. Hearing this, Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun were shocked, and their eyes widened. In the all-extinguishing god dynasty stronghold, Lin Tian suppressed the quasi-emperor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. At that time, he did not kill the quasi-emperor because he wanted to use the unique aura of the ancient scriptures of the all-extinguishing god dynasty and Yin Yum-er's divination skills to deduce the stronghold of the main clan. This truly shocked them. Never had they imagined that Lin Tian would actually have such an idea. Yin Yum-er was also a little surprised, but she immediately understood and regained her composure. This was because in the East region, Lin Tian had said that he wanted to ask her for help. At that time, she had already guessed that Lin Tian wanted to use her divination skills. Therefore, at this time when Lin Tian said this, although she was surprised, it was not to the extent that she was shocked. The quasi-emperor expert of the all-extinguishing god dynasty looked at Yin Yamur. She's the successor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty? This person obviously knew the uniqueness of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. At this time, he looked at Yin Yamur with a little surprise. However, in the blink of an eye, this person gritted his teeth and said coldly, "However, so what if she's the successor of the all-extinguishing god dynasty? It's useless. Although I don't know where the main clan of my dynasty is, I know that the main clan is surrounded by endless mysterious Tao patterns that are enough to conceal everything. Once, a master of the all-extinguishing god dynasty was entrusted by someone to deduce the location of the main clan of my dynasty. But in the end, he did not find anything." Chapter 1149. The quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty had been terrified ever since he saw the little Taichu erase the divine consciousness imprints of the two emperors of his lineage. However, he could not help but mock Lin Tian for asking Yin Yamur to divine the location of their main clan. After all, as far as he knew, one of the masters of the divination lineage had tried his best to divine the location of their main clan, but to no avail. He felt that Lin Tian's idea was ridiculous. How could a young successor of the divination lineage do something that even the master of the divination lineage could not do? Lin Tian looked at the quasi-emperor and the mocking look on his face. He stomped his foot and broke a few of his ribs. "Don't be so narrow-minded. You think you know everything, but in fact, you're just a laughing stock." His voice was indifferent. The quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty stared at Lin Tian in shock, fear, and anger. Lin Tian glanced at the quasi-emperor, then looked at Yin Yamur and said, "Sorry to trouble you, Yamur. You should be able to do it, right?" The oracle was the master of the divination lineage of this generation. 2 years ago, he said that Yin Yamur's divination skills were not inferior to his. Moreover, Yin Yamur had an immortal spirit body and was known as the darling of the great Tao. She had also obtained the divination divine mirror, refined by the ancestor of the divination lineage. With all these factors combined, and the unique aura of the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty as a foundation, he believed that Yin Yamur would definitely be able to divine the location of the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. Upon hearing his question, the whooshing crocodile and Ling Yun could not help but turn to look at Yin Yamur. "I'll do my best. It shouldn't be a problem," Yin Yamur said. Her voice was calm, and there was a hint of a smile in it. Both the whooshing crocodile and Ling Yun were shocked. "Really?" Whooshing crocodile's eyes widened. He knew that Yin Yamur had the celestial spirit king body and was in control of the ancestor's divine mirror. Only the ancestor of the ancestor's divine art could surpass the ancestor's divine art. However, when he heard Yin Yamur say that it shouldn't be a problem, he couldn't help but be shocked. After all, they were going to calculate the location of the great extermination god dynasty's main clan. Yin Yamur nodded. "I think so." "Impossible?" The quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty, who had been suppressed in this place, stared at Yin Yamur and bellowed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. "How could a junior like you, who is still wet behind the ears, do something that even the master of heavenly secret divination of your lineage could not do? What a joke! He's too arrogant and doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth." "Ah!" Lin Tian swept his gaze over this person and ruthlessly kicked him in the chest, causing this person to let out another miserable cry. He looked at Yin Yamur and smiled. "I believe you can do it. Then, thank you for your trust." Yin Yamur covered her mouth and giggled. She then said, "Protect me." "Okay." Lin Tian nodded and immediately retreated to one side. At the same time, he called out to Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun. Each of them took a position and formed a triangle around Yin Yamur to protect her. Yin Yamur glanced at Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun. Then, her gaze fell on Lin Tian again. She nodded gently. "I'm starting," she said to Lin Tian Dao. As soon as she finished speaking, the immortal spiritual light around her body immediately surged. It was ethereal and divine. She formed a seal with both hands at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, strands of strange runes were intertwined. Each and every one of them looked very mysterious and had a special, immortal spiritual charm. They were exactly the same as the runes that were carved 2 years ago when the Heavenly Secret Dojo was opened in the immortal spiritual valley. This is not an ordinary Heavenly Secret rune. It's a kind of immortal spiritual Tao pattern. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes widened. Ling Yin was also shocked. Compared to an ordinary Heavenly Secret rune, this kind of Tao pattern is at least 10 times more powerful. Even Lin Tian could not help but feel a little surprised. More than 2 years ago, when Yin Yer was carving this kind of immortal spiritual Tao pattern in the immortal spiritual valley, it was extremely difficult. The carving speed was very slow, and it was not as fast as it was now. It was almost like the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, at that time, the immortal spiritual Tao pattern was just a Tao pattern that was used to open the Heavenly Secret Dojo. Unexpectedly, when Yin Yer was performing her divination, the runes that evolved from the seals were actually this kind of immortal spiritual Tao pattern. This is a Tao pattern that can only be controlled by immortal spiritual bodies. Is this the true supreme, immortal scripture of the Heavenly Secret lineage? He looked at Yin Yer with a glimmer of light in his eyes. It seems that in these 2 years, not only has her cultivation reached the third sky of Nirvana realm, but her Heavenly Secret divine art has also made a leap. Even if purely based on the Heavenly Secret divination technique, she should have left all the previous masters of the Heavenly Secret lineage far behind her. She should only be weaker than the ancestor of this lineage. Buzz! Yin Yer's speed of forming the seals was extremely fast. The immortal spiritual Tao pattern circled around her, jumping around like little fairies. After an hour, a huge immortal spiritual Tao pattern appeared. It was completely constructed from the immortal spiritual Tao pattern. With it as the center, it landed on the ground, emitting rays of light and at the same time, emitting wisps of immortal charm. Suddenly, with Yin Yer as the center point, the great Tao within a radius of 1,000 feet seemed to come alive, and Tao radiance shot up into the sky. The Tao radiance that was mixed with the power of the great Tao was extremely strong and rich. It was like a vast ocean that was gathered by the great Tao. Even someone as powerful as Lin Tian felt a burst of shock. He knew that with his current cultivation, he would never be able to drive such a strong Tao radiance. Moreover, from what he could see, Yin Yer did not seem to have used much strength. At the same time, the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty was shocked. He stared at Yin Yer, his face full of shock. Immortal spiritual body? At this time, the powerful quasi-emperor instantly guessed Yin Yer's body constitution through the unique immortal spiritual aura that she was emitting and the vast Tao radiance that she was driving. The same body constitution as the founder of the Divine Mystery sect. This, sensing Yin Yer's body constitution and feeling the shocking Tao power here, the quasi-emperor suddenly trembled, and his eyes were filled with shock. He thought of something. With the same body constitution as the founder of the Divine Fortune sect, perhaps she could really calculate the location of the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. Buzz! Outside Yin Yer's body, the immortal spiritual aura became stronger, and the great Tao in this area became more turbulent, causing the void to buzz. Under her feet, the immortal spiritual Tao pattern intertwined with a faint light, making her look extremely ethereal. Together with the Tao radiance that was surging from all directions, she really looked like the daughter of the great Tao. Then, in the next moment, she glanced at the quasi-emperor that was suppressed by Lin Tian. Meeting her gaze, the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty suddenly trembled. "You? What are you doing?" "Nothing much. I'm just borrowing the ancient scripture aura from your body," Yin Yer said. She waved her hand, and the immortal spiritual Tao pattern under her feet trembled. Dense immortal spiritual aura intertwined and rushed into the quasi-emperor's body like chains, forcibly pulling out a ball of blood-colored faint light, which was intertwined with strands of shocking murderous intent. Then, she formed another seal, and the immortal spiritual Tao pattern under her feet emitted an even more dazzling light that shot into the sky. The real beginning, she whispered. In an instant, the aura exuding from her body became even stronger, and the immortal spiritual aura became even stronger. Using the ancient scripture aura of the quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty as a foundation, she began to calculate the location of the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. Lin Tian quietly stood by one side, his eyes flickering with golden divine light. His divine consciousness spread all around, protecting Yin Yi with all his might. In the blink of an eye, because of Yin Yi, the sky of this place was dyed with a layer of special light. Then, this light spread out in all directions like water ripples in a trajectory that ordinary people could not see. Time passed in the blink of an eye. Buzz! At this moment, the immortal spiritual aura outside Yin Yi's body became even stronger, and wisps of it began to tremble. In the ninth heaven, in an unknown place, where the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty was located. At this moment, the air around the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty suddenly trembled in a way that ordinary people could not see. Wisps of invisible great Tao energy drifted over from afar. Suddenly, the divine runes around the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty lit up on their own, intertwining with strange fluctuations. As if they had their own consciousness, they completely suppressed the aura around the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. At the same time, a pair of extremely deep eyes lit up like two black holes in the deepest part of this clan. In an instant, more divine runes lit up outside the main clan of the great extinguishing divine dynasty. Waves of terrifying Emperor Qi interweaved and guarded all directions. As if it had a mind of its own, it blocked out all the invisible Tao forces that were fluctuating from afar. Deep in the mountains where Lin Tian and the others were, Yin Yi's immortal spiritual aura intertwined around her body. At this moment, her delicate body trembled slightly. Lin Tian frowned immediately. He could tell that Yin Yi seemed to have encountered some trouble and obstacles. "What's wrong, Yi?" he asked softly. Yin Yi's body was intertwined with immortal spiritual aura as she gently shook her head. She raised her hands and formed a seal again. This time, it was slower, and it took her more than 10 breaths to complete the seal. Then, suddenly, a bright light shone from between her eyebrows, and a silver divine mirror floated out and floated in front of her chest. The mirror was covered with mysterious Tao runes. The mysterious heavenly divine mirror. As soon as this divine mirror appeared, the great Tao energy in this world became even more turbulent and powerful. At the same time, the invisible great Tao energy that had been pushed out of the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty suddenly became hundreds of times more turbulent. Ordinary people would not be able to detect it at all. In the blink of an eye, it seeped into the dense divine runes outside the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. "Who is it?" A deep voice came from the depths of the main clan. It was as vast and mighty as thunder, mixed with endless coldness. Deep in the mountains where Lin Tian and the others were, the immortal spiritual aura intertwined, and the great Tao energy surged and gradually calmed down. "Found it," Yin Yi whispered. Faint immortal spiritual aura intertwined in her eyes, and images appeared on the surface of the divine mirror of destiny in front of her chest. It was a boundless ocean with a thick layer of ice on its surface. As the images changed, it gradually sank into the bottom of the ocean below the ice. There were many pitch-black palaces there, surrounded by endless chains of light and Tao runes. Two bright lights flashed in Lin Tian's eyes. He had found the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. Chapter 1150. The heavenly mystery divine mirror displayed many clear images. It was a vast ocean with groups of glaciers. At the bottom of the ocean, there were pitch-black palaces that looked extremely eerie. It was like a dead palace in hell, with dense Tao patterns intertwined with each other. That's the I see at the end of the west of the north region. The spiritual energy there is almost zero, and no one goes there all year round. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes shone with a bright, demonic light. Then he stared at Yin Yer in shock. Is this real? She really found the location of the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty. Although it did not doubt Yin Yer's ability to deduce the location of the great extinguishing god dynasty's main clan, it could not help but tremble in shock when it saw the image of the great extinguishing god dynasty's main clan in the heavenly mystery divine mirror. After all, that was where the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty was. Amazing! Ling Yun was also shocked. Yin Yer smiled and put away the divine mirror. The immortal spiritual Tao diagram under her feet disappeared, and the Tao light around her also disappeared. Are you okay now? Are you feeling unwell? Lin Tian asked. He knew that when the divine divination was used to deduce certain things, the diviner would have to pay a certain price. The more important the matter was, the greater the price. At this moment, Yin Yer had finished her divination. Although he knew that Yin Yer had the immortal spiritual body and was protected by the divine mirror, he was still very concerned about this. It's okay. With the divine mirror left behind by the ancestor, there seems to be no price to pay. It just consumes a little bit of divine power. Yin Yer knew that Lin Tian was worried about her. Lin Tian was relieved. That's good. As he said this, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Impossible. This is impossible. Your divination is fake. The boundary emperor of the great extinguishing god dynasty, who was captured by Lin Tian, growled. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. That is definitely not where the main clan of our dynasty is located. She is just a junior. Even if she has the immortal spiritual body, it is impossible for her to deduce the location of our main clan. This is impossible. No matter what, this quasi-emperor refused to believe that Yin Yer had really calculated the location of their main branch. One had to know that since their bloodline was founded, it had been passed down for an unknown period of time. Many peerless powerhouses had tried to track down the location of their main bloodline, but to no avail. Now, how could he accept that a young woman had so easily deduced the location of the mysterious main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty? Lin Tian tilted his head and looked at this person. Without saying anything else, he raised his right hand and pressed the reincarnation scroll down. The quasi-emperor from the great extinguishing god dynasty was terrified. Stop! Don't kill him! Pooh! Lin Tian had already suppressed this person with the 4-symbol seal, sealing all of this person's cultivation and mobility. At this time, under the suppression of the king's territory, how could this person resist? He was immediately crushed in both body and soul by the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory. After that, he raised his head and looked at the westernmost part of the northern region, and a cold smile appeared on his face. After 2 years, let's make the 9th heaven boil again, he said. Immediately after, he called Yin Yer, Whooshing Crocodile, and Ling Yun to leave. Soon after, he walked out of the mountains and asked the little Taichu to open the void portal one after another. He then used the same divine sense imprint in the northern, southern, western, and eastern regions to erase the 2 emperors of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, the divine son of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, and the 4 strongholds of the all-extinguishing god dynasty were destroyed by him. At the same time, the most important thing was that the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty was also included. The main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty is located at the bottom of the IC in the westernmost part of the northern region. Fellow cultivators of the world, if you are interested, you can take a look there. For a time, the entire 9th heaven was shocked. Lin Tian. It's that Lin Tian again. After disappearing for more than 2 years, he appeared again. This time, the 2 emperors of the all-extinguishing god dynasty were killed. And the divine son was also killed. Is that little beast by his side really that terrifying? How could it kill two Slayer Emperors so easily? He, he found the location of the all-extinguishing god dynasty's main clan. How is this possible? Is this true? How did he do it? In history, many ninth heavenly layer emperors couldn't do it. After 2 years, the ninth heaven was once again in an uproar. Every cultivator and every major sect was shocked. The powerful and mysterious all-extinguishing god dynasty had 4 strongholds destroyed by Lin Tian. The all-extinguishing divine sun was killed by Lin Tian. At the same time, 2 emperors of the all-extinguishing god dynasty were killed by the little Taichu beside Lin Tian. This really shocked everyone in this heaven. 2 emperors were killed just like that. At the same time, the cultivators were even more surprised that Lin Tian had found the location of the all-extinguishing god dynasty's main clan. This was simply too shocking, and it shocked the entire world. One must know that the all-extinguishing god dynasty had existed for such a long time. In addition to the strength of this branch, the mystery of the place where the clan was established was also a key factor. However, in this generation, a junior cultivator had ascended step by step from the lower heavens to the ninth heaven. He had destroyed more than 10 hidden strongholds of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, killed the divine son of this branch, and the little beast beside him had killed 2 emperors of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. He had even found the most mysterious place of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. This was really a miracle in the cultivation world. This Lin Tian is simply some cultivators swallowed their saliva, 2 Slayer Emperors were killed, and the place where the main clan was established was discovered. If all this is true, then the all-extinguishing god dynasty will be in trouble. Without a doubt, this is absolutely true. That Lin Tian has no need to make such a lie to fool the cultivators of the world. That's right. How did he find the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty? No matter how he found the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, the only thing we can be sure of is that this heaven, or more specifically, the northern domain, is going to be very lively there. Many cultivators were discussing. Over the years, the all-extinguishing god dynasty had carried out countless assassinations in the dark. They had even assassinated the heroes of several top forces and even killed emperors. As a result, the all-extinguishing god dynasty had offended countless people and forces. Many rogue cultivators and large sects in the 10th heaven wanted to get rid of the all-extinguishing god dynasty as soon as possible. But unfortunately, they couldn't find the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty. Now, the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty had been found out by someone, and everyone in the 9th heaven knew about it. It was conceivable that this was definitely a big trouble for the all-extinguishing god dynasty. For a time, all the cultivators in the 9th heaven were shocked. Everyone in the eastern, western, southern, and northern domains were shocked. At the same time, on the other side, the big shots of the ancient shrine, the Immortal Sword Island, the Yin-Yang sect, and other top forces were all shocked. When they learned that Lin Tian had reappeared, they were all preparing to suppress Lin Tian and seize what they wanted. However, at this time, after seeing Lin Tian's divine sense imprints and the scene of the little Taichu easily killing the 2 Slayer Emperors of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, they fell silent for a while. They found that their estimation of the little Taichu around Lin Tian was still too low. It was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Make your move when you're fully prepared. On this day, after hearing the news of the outside world and seeing the divine sense imprints released by Lin Tian, the ancient shrine, the Yin-Yang sect, and the other top forces who wanted to seize Lin Tian's ancient Empyrean scripture and the pure Yang flame made the same decision. This was because the little Taichu around Lin Tian was too terrifying. At the same time, the fact that Lin Tian was able to find the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty also made these top forces feel that Lin Tian was very strange. They guessed that there might be other mysterious forces around Lin Tian, so these top forces had to be cautious and didn't dare to act rashly. Almost at the same time, the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty naturally caught sight of the divine consciousness imprint that Lin Tian had sent out. Everyone in the all-extinguishing God dynasty turned pale with fright. Each and every one of them was shocked and horrified. How is this possible? How did that bastard find the place where the main clan of our dynasty was established? It's impossible. There are endless divine runes and Tao patterns engraved by the ancestors of our dynasty. Moreover, every generation of emperors and old ancestors would reinforce and add new emperor runes to seal the area. Even a ninth heavenly layer emperor wouldn't be able to find the main clan of our dynasty. How did he know? This is impossible. How could this be? On the surface, several big figures of this branch were almost going crazy. Not long ago, they learned that the Son of God and two Emperor Slayers had failed to assassinate Lin Tian and died. Now, Lin Tian had found the main clan of their dynasty and spread this news throughout the entire ninth heaven. This was simply a disaster. Over the years, how many cultivators had the all-extinguishing God dynasty assassinated? How many people and great forces had they offended? Now that the location of the main clan had been leaked, it was enough to imagine that there would be countless cultivators searching for the location of their main clan. Their clan would face wave after wave of cultivators attacking them. Damn it! Damn it! Several big figures of this branch were shocked and angry to the extreme. At this moment, two low and cold snorts sounded from the depths of the main clan, mixed with endless cold, killing intent. Our all-extinguishing God dynasty has existed for so many years. Now that the main clan has been exposed, so what? Who can attack us? It's just a little more trouble. Now, let all the disciples return to the main clan and kill anyone who dares to attack us. Rolling Emperor's pressure intertwined, shaking the heavens and earth. In the northern region, Lin Tianyi and the others stood on the top of a green mountain. They knew everything about this heaven. This time, the all-extinguishing God dynasty will be very busy. We have offended so many people and great sects over the years. Now that the main clan's location has been exposed, I don't know how many cultivators will attack us. Whooshing Crocodile clicked his tongue and looked at Lin Tian. Boy, what you said before about playing a big game, you mean to let Embark calculate the location of the main clan and then leak it to the whole world? I have to say, this is indeed a big game. It's an absolutely ruthless attack. As an assassin organization, the all-extinguishing God dynasty had assassinated too many people. After such a long time, there were countless cultivators and great sects who hated this branch. Now that Lin Tian had leaked the location of the main clan, the whole world would know about it. There would definitely be waves of powerful cultivators and great sects who hated this branch to attack the main clan's location. The impact on the all-extinguishing God dynasty would definitely be huge. Moreover, this would affect the future development and inheritance of the all-extinguishing God dynasty. For a dark organization, once the location of the main clan was exposed to the world, many things would be very troublesome in the future. It could be said that the exposure of the main clan's location was equivalent to cutting off an arm and a leg of the all-extinguishing God dynasty. Chapter 1151. Listening to Lin Tian's words, Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun's expressions changed, and even Yin showed a hint of surprise. Releasing the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing divine dynasty and letting everyone know about it, whether it was the current or the future of the all-extinguishing divine dynasty, it was an unprecedented big trouble. It could even be said to be a disaster. It had already shocked the entire ninth heaven, and all the sects were in an uproar. However, Lin Tian said that this was just an appetizer. This is just an appetizer? Then, what is the main dish? What do you mean by a bigger game? Whooshing Crocodile's eyes widened. Next to him, Yin Yiber and Ling Yun also looked at Lin Tian curiously. Lin Tian looked at the two people and the crocodile and said, "Do you think that releasing this news can destroy the all-extinguishing divine dynasty?" Whooshing Crocodile was taken aback, and then said, "This is definitely impossible. Although there are many rogue cultivators and sects in the 10th heaven who hate the all-extinguishing divine dynasty, the strength of the all-extinguishing divine dynasty is also there. There are countless powerful assassins in the all-extinguishing divine dynasty. It's obviously impossible to destroy the all-extinguishing divine dynasty just by relying on the rogue cultivators and sects who hate the all-extinguishing divine dynasty. At most, it will bring some trouble to the all-extinguishing divine dynasty. As it said that, it stared at Lin Tian strangely. What do you mean by asking this? Nothing much. I was just thinking of giving them a devastating gift later. Lin Tian. He asked Yin Yup to calculate the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing divine dynasty. Of course, it wasn't just to leak the location of the main clan after Yin Yup calculated it. He had leaked this information and let everyone in the world know about it. As a result, he had brought trouble to the main clan of the 10,000 extinguishing divine dynasty. This was only the prelude. Hearing Lin Tian's words, Whooshing Crocodile, Yin Yup and Ling Yun were shocked. Destructive gift? What do you mean? Ling Yun asked. You'll know in a while. Lin Tianyi smiled and said, before that, I have to go into seclusion for about a month. Seclusion? Why does it involve seclusion? Whooshing Crocodile asked. When I come out, I'll tell you. Lin Tian. On this day, Lin Tian found a cave in the center of the mountain and asked little Taichu to protect him. Then, he sat down cross-legged in the cave, a faint divine energy fluctuation. At this moment, as he was in seclusion, he activated the dragon burial scripture. In the blink of an eye, dragon marks intertwined and emerged from his body. The cave spirits were SSS. This seclusion is. The five elements crocodile was suspicious. Ling Yin also had a strange expression on his face. The key is, why is he cultivating the dragon burial scripture at this time? What did it have to do with the devastating gift that he was going to give to the all-extinguishing god dynasty? This, I can't figure it out. As he said that, he couldn't help but look at Yin Yup. Monsieur, why don't you calculate what this kid wants to do? Listening to Lin Tian's words, he really wanted to know what Lin Tian wants to do. Yin Yup was taken aback for a moment. Then she shook her head and said with a smile, it's not good to calculate, friends. Moreover, it's meaningless to calculate this kind of thing. It's better to wait for him to tell us in person. At that time, we can still feel a sense of surprise. Well, that's true. Ling Yun nodded. Immediately, the group of people quieted down and waited beside Lin Tian. Northern region, the westernmost position, near the ice sea. Lin Tian asked Yin Yup to calculate the location of the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty, and then inform everyone in the ninth heaven of this location. At this time, one figure after another arrived at the westernmost part of the northern region. Among these figures, there were powerful rogue cultivators, as well as famous sections. 30 years ago, my only close friend was assassinated by this damned bloodline. Today, I must seek justice. Our sect's holy son died in the hands of a shady assassin organization. Even if we can't destroy them, we won't let them get away with it. Vermin of the cultivation world. Trash. Rats. We must get rid of them. Each and every one of these figures was filled with monstrous rage and killing intent. In the next moment, these cultivators stared at the bottom of the ice sea and began to attack one after another. With a rumble, the entire ice sea began to boil. The ice on the surface shattered, and the sea began to churn. Rays of divine light rushed into the bottom of the ice sea and stirred up waves that were hundreds of meters tall. The momentum was shocking to the extreme. Kill. It was also at this moment a cold word sounded from the bottom of the ice sea, like the voice of the god of death. In an instant, dense blood swords rushed out from the bottom of the ice sea, cutting through the vast sky and slashing towards the people in this place. Puff! 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 Blood exploded one after another, and the cultivators died one after another. Sure enough, that Lin Tian didn't lie. This damn sect, the location of the main clan, is really here. Someone shouted. Clang! The blood swords broke through the surface of the sea and blasted this person into pieces. Moreover, the cultivators next to him also exploded. This father is very clear that your organization is stinkier than dog shit. We can't destroy it. We can't shake it. However, even if I die here, this father will stir up some waves in the place where your clan was founded. Trash, a hot-tempered person roared. He was the master of a sect in the third layer of this heaven. 50 years ago, his son, who was known as the most outstanding genius of his sect in thousands of years, was cruelly killed by the people of the great extinguishing god dynasty. Clang! The blood swords clanged, and a blood-red sword energy rushed out from the bottom of the sea and sliced this person into pieces on the spot. His body and soul were destroyed. At the same time, the cultivators above the IC were slashed into pieces one after another. Blood dyed the surface of the sea red. Even so, none of the people from the great extinguishing god dynasty walked out from under the IC. They were terrifyingly powerful. Stinky rats, all you know is to hide in the dark. You only dare to live in the dark for the rest of your life. You don't even dare to come out and shout when people are at your door. You're worse than bugs. A bunch of scum. The great extinguishing god dynasty was very powerful. The cultivators who rushed to this place were blasted into pieces by the blood swords that rushed out from the bottom of the sea. However, none of the cultivators were afraid. Many of them were cursing loudly, with intense hatred in their eyes. These people were the people closest to them who had been killed by the all-extinguishing god dynasty. They were either close friends, lovers, relatives, children, masters, or disciples. These relatives and disciples had no enmity with the all-extinguishing god dynasty, but they had been killed by the all-extinguishing god dynasty on the orders of others. How could there be any lack of hatred for them? To a certain extent, these people hated the great extinguishing god dynasty more than the people who had entrusted the great extinguishing god dynasty to kill their relatives and friends. Even in their dreams, they wished they could cut the people from the great extinguishing god dynasty into 1,000 pieces. If the heavens have eyes, let these vermin from the cultivation world disappear from this world. Let them disappear. Destroy them. Someone shouted hatefully. The light of divine abilities and secret techniques surged. The cultivators who had arrived were attacking the IC in a frenzy. Streaks of divine ability light surged toward the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty below, stirring up even more terrifying waves. The entire IC was boiling. A bunch of ants. A cold voice came from the bottom of the IC. The clanging of swords reverberated. More blood swords rushed out and pierced through the cultivators, killing them both in body and soul. However, no one was afraid. Many people's eyes turned red as they attacked the IC in a frenzy. At the same time, more and more cultivators arrived and joined in the frenzy to attack the great extinguishing god dynasty below the IC. Moreover, there were extremely powerful people who avoided the blood swords and rushed into the IC to attack the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty below. Die! A cold voice rang out. Destructive waves rolled and crushed the cultivators who had rushed into the IC. In the blink of an eye, the IC was almost dyed red. At the bottom of the sea, the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty was surrounded by pitch-black palaces. Countless disciples were in the main clan, waving their swords at the IC. Each of them had a vicious expression as they cut the cultivators who approached the IC into pieces. However, they had killed many of the cultivators who had chased them to the IC, but no one was afraid. They continued to charge forward fearlessly. Damn it! That damn Lin Tian! A big shot from this branch gritted his teeth in anger. They did not take the cultivators who had rushed to the IC seriously. However, how could it be a good thing for their main clan to be attacked like this? One had to know that over the endless years, because of their repeated assassinations, they had accumulated too many enemies. It was difficult to count the number of people who hated them. If all these people came to kill them, how could they continue to develop their lineage? How could they continue to accept assassination commissions? How could they continue to pass down the legacy? It could be said that their plan was completely disrupted when the location of the main clan was exposed. Damn it! Damn it! The current assassin of this branch roared. In the blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed. On this day, The draconic inscriptions on Lin Tian's body became extremely bright within a cave on a mountain in the northern region. They intertwined with extremely dense light. At this moment, he opened his eyes, and the resplendent light of the draconic inscriptions flickered in his eyes. "He's awake," Wuxing Crocodile said. "He's out of seclusion, right?" Yin Yuer said. Lin Tianyi smiled. "Of course." As he said that, he stood up. He had been comprehending the dragon burial scripture for 1.5 months. The current level of the dragon burial scripture was more than 2 or 3 times stronger than it was a month ago. Ling Yun gazed at Lin Tian and said, "Now that I speak of it, the Northern Territory was really bustling during this period of over a month while you were in closed-door cultivation. Groups of cultivators charged into the Sea of Ice in the Northern Territory and bombarded the main clan of this clan. It was extremely grand. Although they lived on this green mountain, they were still aware of such things that happened in the outside world. It's expected," Lin Tiandao said. "For so many years, because of the repeated assassinations of this branch, there are too many people and sects who hate them. However, because they don't know where the main clan of this branch is, they can only bury the fire of hatred in their hearts. Now that the people and sects who hate this branch know where the main clan of this branch is, they naturally won't be able to live in peace. At least, it won't be for the time being." "That's indeed the case." Ling Yin nodded and sighed slightly. "It's a pity that almost all the people who rushed over are dead. It's difficult to shake the great extinguishing holy dynasty." As he said that, he shook his head and looked straight at Lin Tian. His eyes were full of curiosity. "By the way, since you're out of seclusion, what do you want to do next?" Chapter 1152. Ling Yun was very curious about Lin Tian's so-called destructive gift to the great extinguishing god dynasty. Seeing Lin Tian come out of seclusion, he naturally couldn't help but ask. At the same time, Wuxing Crocodile and Yin Yuer also looked at Lin Tian. "We'll know soon." Lin Tianyi smiled, then looked at little Taichu. "Little Taichu, go to the 4th heaven." As he spoke, he used his divine sense to transmit the general situation of each layer of the 10 directions heaven domain to the little fellow. Yeah, the little guy is an emperor-level existence. It's naturally very easy for him to open the heavenly barrier and move around. He immediately cried out in a childish voice, waved his paw, and a void crack with intertwined silver light appeared, leading straight to the 4th heaven. Looking around, the void crack is hazy, intertwined with a very amazing and vast space aura. "Go to the 4th heaven? What for?" Wuxing Crocodile said strangely. "Go, you'll know soon." Lin Tiandao. After saying that, he immediately stepped into the void crack. Wuxing Crocodile and the others were a little suspicious, but they didn't hesitate and also stepped in, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Darkness shrouded their field of vision in the blink of an eye. And then, in the next moment, a faint light intertwined in front of the group of people. In the space, a strong vibration shook the group of people out of the void and landed on the ground again. Huff! For a time, the wind whistled. Looking around, there was a vast and boundless ocean in front of them. As the wind blew, ripples appeared on the surface of the sea, swaying towards the distance. This is near the Sea King Island of the 4th heaven, located at the edge of the sea territory of this heaven. Wuxing Crocodile said, looking at Lin Tian. "Boy, what are you doing here? Do you want to find trouble with the sea race? Speaking of which, we've looted all the resources of this branch in the past." Back in the 4th heaven, Lin Tian had a grudge with the sea race. Later, the purple elf appeared. Lin Tian took the purple elf and forcibly took away the heritage of the sea race. At the same time, several other great clans also suffered. Now, Lin Tian came to this place again, which made it a little curious. Of course not. Lin Tiandao. In the past, he took the purple elf and gave the sea race a heavy blow. Naturally, he won't find trouble with them again after so many years. As a matter of fact, at his current height, the sea race was far from being on the same level as him. The gap between the two was too great, so it was even more impossible for him to deal with them. Then, why are you here? Whooshing Crocodile asked. Follow me. You'll know soon. Lin Tiandao. His speed wasn't fast. He walked on the surface of the sea, heading towards a fixed location. There are many islands above the sea. The sea breeze is a little humid, but it's very comfortable to blow on one's face. Lin Tian led Yin Yu and the others forward. Soon after, a group of sea race cultivators appeared in front of them. They were patrolling the sea area. Suddenly, they saw a human figure approaching. They immediately rushed over with spears in their hands. Human, you're quite bold, actually daring to approach my clan's territory. Do you want to? One of the ocean clan's cultivators spoke in a sinister voice, but in the next moment, he stopped speaking. When he saw Lin Tian in the crowd, the sinister expression on his face immediately turned into fear. He could not help but tremble. How did you? At the same time, in this place, several other sea race cultivators also recognized Lin Tian, and they all trembled. Lin, these sea race cultivators were trembling, but they couldn't speak a complete sentence. At that time, Lin Tian had brought the Super Emperor Violet Fairy to visit the major races of this heaven one by one, including the sea race. His actions had shaken the entire fourth heaven, causing countless experts to tremble in fear. Especially the major races that were visited, they were even more terrified. As one of the great races that were visited by Lin Tian and the Purple Elf, how could the sea race forget such a thing? How could they forget the horror of Lin Tian? At this time, when these sea race cultivators saw Lin Tian, they were all trembling in fear. Brat, what kind of grand event did you do in this heaven realm back then? Why are they so afraid of you? Ling Yun was surprised. Even Yin Yu was a little curious. She looked at Lin Tian curiously. It's nothing, Lin Tian said with a smile. Beside him, the Five Elements Crocodile said, back then, he had some enmity with a few big clans in this heaven region. Then this brat was really despicable. Back then, he brought the demon race's emperor to visit those big clans one by one. He robbed those big clans of all their accumulations over countless years and scared them half to death. With that said, Whooshing Crocodile glanced at the sea race cultivators. The sea race they belong to is on the list of the great races that were visited at the beginning. How could they not be afraid? Yin Yu and Ling Yun couldn't help but be shocked when they heard this. Lin Tian actually took the monster race emperor to visit the great races of this heaven. Moreover, he looted all the heritage of those great races over the countless years. This so ruthless. Ling Yun's eyes widened. Taking the monster race emperor to visit the great races of the fourth heaven. This is simply scary. Yin Yu was also surprised, but at the same time, she was a little curious. She asked Lin Tiandao. Since he said that he is the monster race emperor, then he can only be the master of the Monster King Palace in the ninth heaven. Moreover, the Monster King Palace is different from the other great forces. Most of the masters of the other great forces are in the Quasi-Emperor's realm, but the master of the Monster King Palace is usually the strongest in the Monster King Palace. She looked at Lin Tian with some surprise. Do you know the sovereign of the monster race? And Lin Tianyi smiled and nodded. Yes, that's his little sister, Ling Yun said. When he first came to the ninth heaven, he already learned some things about Lin Tian and the purple fairy from Whooshing Crocodile. Little sister? Yin Yu's mouth fell open as she stared at Lin Tianyu, the master of the Fiend Emperor Palace, the Fiend Emperor of a generation. One of the most powerful figures in the Ten Directions heavenly region was actually Lin Tian's little sister. She looked at Lin Tian, and it was rare for her to be so calm. You are a human, and you are so young. How can you be the elder brother of the sovereign of the monster race? Hearing that Lin Tian was the elder brother of the master of the Monster King Palace, even the ethereal Yin Yu was a little stunned. There are some special reasons for this, Lin Tian said with a smile. He did not elaborate on this point. Yin Yu was still flabbergasted. She was just like Ling Yun when he first learned about this. She was truly shocked. Let's get down to business. Lin Tian smiled and said. He didn't care about the several marine race cultivators in this place, and walked towards an island near Sea King Island. Whooshing Crocodile and the others followed. Although Yin-Ya was surprised, she also followed without hesitation. Soon, the group disappeared into the distance. The several marine race cultivators were trembling with fear. They didn't breathe a sigh of relief until the group was far away. Their faces and backs were full of cold sweat. Why? Why did he appear again? He hasn't appeared for so many years. Why? Quick! Inform the clan master and the supreme elders. The several marine race cultivators were terrified. They immediately rushed towards the clan master, wanting to report this matter as soon as possible. Lin Tianyi and the others left, and Lin Tian walked in the front. Soon, he led the group to a huge island. Looking at it, the vegetation on this island was very dense, and the spiritual qi was abundant. They could hear the shocking roars of demonic beasts echoing on this island, shaking the sky. After landing on this island, he didn't stop. He walked all the way in front of the group. Soon, they came to a huge canyon, in which there was a faint mist intertwined. The gorge of no return. Wuxing Crocodile was suspicious. In the past, when the Bai siblings were trapped here, it and Lin Tian came here. This is one of the most dangerous places in the fourth heaven. It is known as the Gorge of No Return, and many powerful cultivators have died in it. It's a little unusual, but it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Ling Yun said. The Gorge of No Return is very scary for ordinary cultivators, but he has reached the Nirvana realm, so he naturally doesn't care about it. Let's go. Lin Tiandao. He led the group into the Gorge of No Return and walked straight forward. Soon, they arrived in front of 9 continuous mountains. As far as the eye could see, the 9 great mountains were like 9 world-shocking dragons coiling around the earth, forming a perfect circle. There was vegetation on it, but it was basically all dried up without much essence energy. These 9 mountains are not ordinary. Yin-Ya was still surprised by the relationship between Lin Tian and the Demon Emperor, but at this time, seeing the 9 mountains here, she couldn't help but be moved. The 9 mountains encircle and form a good fortune land. It's very unusual. Lin Tianyi smiled. As he spoke, he continued to lead the way. Soon they entered one of the mountains. Not long after, they entered a mine in this mountain. The aura inside the mine was demonic and evil. It was like the gate to the underworld. It was a little horrifying. This mine, kid, are you here for that thing? Wuxing Crocodile suddenly opened his eyes wide. Apparently, he thought of something, and a shocking light appeared in his eyes. Lin Tian nodded. Yes, he led the way. Soon, they went deep into the mine and came to a huge karst cave. It was shining brightly with amazing psionic energy. Its vastness was countless times more amazing than the psionic energy of the divine veins. Looking around, above the center of this karst cave, a light sphere with a diameter of more than 1 meter was suspended quietly. It was like a star, dazzling everyone. This is... Ling Yun was shocked. Staring at this light sphere, his body couldn't help but tremble. He felt a kind of vastness and horror. Yin-Ya was also shocked. She revealed a shocked expression. Sure enough, you are here for this. Wuxing Crocodile's eyes were even brighter. He couldn't help but clench his claws and asked Lin Tian excitedly, Kid, can you touch this Dragon Ball now? Didn't you say that anyone who hasn't reached the Emperor realm will die? When they were in the fourth heaven, it followed Lin Tian into this place to find the whereabouts of the Bai siblings. Later, Lin Tian found this Dragon Ball. It was born in the good fortune land formed by the 9 mountains of this place. It gave birth to infinite possibilities and could be called a shocking sacred object. Chapter 1153. Lin Tian looked at the Dragon Ball in the karst cave. His eyes glowed faintly. Now, I should be able to take it away. Although he had not reached the Emperor realm, his mastery of the Dragon Burial Scripture had reached the pinnacle. With his 6th sky of Nirvana realm cultivation and the Dragon Burial Scripture, he should be able to take the Dragon Ball away. Really? Wuxing Crocodile's eyes shone even brighter. He was clearly excited. If Lin Tian could really take away this Dragon Pearl, then they would all be able to obtain great benefits. If we use it to cultivate, our cultivation will definitely improve greatly. We will all complete a few nirvanas. Ling Yun's eyes shone brightly. Although the Dragon Ball was only a meter in diameter, it contained a shocking amount of energy. At this moment, he stood below the Dragon Ball. Just by looking at it, he felt his heart palpitate. If they used it as a source of cultivation, he was sure that their cultivations would be able to increase significantly. No, we don't need it to cultivate. Lin Tian shook his head and narrowed his eyes. I'm going to give it to the great extinguishing God dynasty. What? Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun's eyes widened when they heard his words. He was going to give the Dragon Ball to the great extinguishing God dynasty? Yin Yip-er looked at Lin Tian curiously. You said you were going to give the great extinguishing God dynasty a destructive gift? Is it related to this Dragon Ball? She asked. Whooshing Crocodile regained his senses when he heard Yin Yip-er's words. He looked at Lin Tian and bared his teeth. Kid, it's time to make it clear. What are you planning to do by giving the Dragon Ball to the great extinguishing God dynasty? Don't keep us in suspense. That's right. Hurry up and say it. Ling Yun said. Yin Yimmer was very smart, but Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun were not stupid either. Naturally, they did not think that Lin Tian would be so kind as to give this heaven-defying dragon pearl to the all-extinguishing God dynasty. He definitely wanted to use this dragon pearl as the core to deal with the all-extinguishing God dynasty. Facing the curious gazes of the two people and the crocodile, Lin Tian no longer hid anything. I've cultivated the dragon burial scripture. After that, I'll cut this dragon pearl off from the great force of creation of this place. Then, I'll brand countless dragon patterns on it and engrave the great dragon pattern art. Finally, I'll take it away and throw it to the main clan of the great extinguishing God dynasty. Then I'll detonate it near their main clan. What? Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun couldn't help but tremble. Even Yin Ye was shocked. Their cultivation wasn't ordinary. They could clearly sense how dense the spiritual energy contained in this dragon pearl was. It was countless times stronger than a divine vein. If such a heaven-defying dragon pearl was engraved with the great dragon pattern art and detonated, the destructive power would be no less than the self-destruction of an expert at the fifth sky of Emperor Realm. How terrifying would that be? This is too much, Whooshing Crocodile trembled. If this dragon pearl was really engraved with the great dragon pattern art and thrown to the main clan of the all-extinguishing God dynasty, once it was detonated, it would definitely destroy the main clan of the all-extinguishing God dynasty in an instant. Even if this clan had a peerless expert at the ninth sky of Emperor Realm, it would be useless. It would be impossible to suppress such terrifying destructive power. At most, it would be able to protect itself. When you asked Miss Ye-er to calculate the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing God dynasty, you were planning something like this? Ling Yun sucked in a breath of cold air. Yin Ye-er's eyes flickered. She looked at Lin Tiandao and said, Previously, you deliberately spread the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing God dynasty so that everyone in the world would know. At that time, the all-extinguishing God dynasty would definitely summon all the assassins in the outside world in a short period of time to ensure the safety of the main clan. Then, you threw this dragon pearl and killed them all in one fell swoop? Looking at Lin Tian, Yin Ye-er's beautiful eyes shone with a strange light. Lin Tian nodded and said, something like that. His real purpose of asking Yin Ye-er to calculate the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing God dynasty was to destroy this clan. At the same time, as what Yin Ye-er said, he deliberately spread the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing God dynasty so that everyone in the world would know. In fact, the most important thing was for the all-extinguishing God dynasty to hear. He believed that after this clan knew that the location of the main clan was exposed, they would definitely summon all the assassins to protect the main clan in a short period of time. Moreover, they would stay in the main clan for a period of time. During this period of time, he would use this opportunity to engrave the great dragon pattern art on the dragon pearl and throw it over to eliminate this clan in one fell swoop. Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun were shocked again. They swallowed a mouthful of saliva at the same time. Well, what a fraud, Whooshing Crocodile said. What a fraud! Ling Yun's eyes widened. From destroying the 4 strongholds of the all-extinguishing god dynasty in the ninth heaven to suppress the quasi-emperor, to asking Yin Yer to calculate the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, and then to revealing the location of the main clan of the all-extinguishing god dynasty, so that everyone in the world would know about it. Throughout the process, there was not a single step that was superfluous. One step after another, all in order to give the all-extinguishing god dynasty a real blow. However, this really makes Lord Crocodile feel a little excited. This clan is really going to be miserable. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes lit up again. Hurry up, do it! Ling Yun clenched his fists and said, if the heaven-defying dragon pearl was used to engrave the great dragon pattern art and detonate it, it could really destroy the all-extinguishing god dynasty. Just thinking about it made them excited and excited. Lin Tian nodded at Crocodile and Whooshing Crocodile, then nodded at Yin Yer and said, you guys step back first, boom! At this moment, a shocking corpse aura swept out like rolling waves, directly interrupting Lin Tian's next words. At the opening of the Karst cave, an old corpse rushed out. Its whole body was covered in black scales, and it had a human head, phoenix feathers, and a dragon tail. It looked very strange, as if some parts of the body of several different creatures were forcefully mixed together, giving off a very frightening feeling. This is... Whooshing Crocodile stared and said, why does it look so familiar? Of course it looks familiar. We met when we first came here. Lin Tian looked at the old corpse and said, 10 years ago, when we came here, we met 5 old corpses and 3 tyrannical dragon pearl guardian spirits. 2 of the dragon pearl guardian spirits had phoenix feathers and a dragon tail. At that time, when we left, the 3 dragon pearl guardian spirits were fighting with the 5 old corpses. Now, it seems that in the end, one of the 5 old corpses was not destroyed. It merged with the bodies of the other 2 dragon pearl guardian spirits, and then turned into this appearance. Now that you mention it, Lord Crocodile really remembers. No wonder I feel so familiar looking at this dead thing. Whooshing Crocodile bared its teeth. The old corpse rushed to the Karst cave, its eyes blood red. Its corpse aura was rolling, and even demon aura was intertwined, looking very ferocious. It stared at the group of people with fangs in its mouth and yellow smelly saliva, as if it was looking at delicious prey. Immediately, in the next moment, it growled, and the vast corpse aura rushed straight toward the group of people. For a moment, the corpse aura rolled, causing the entire Karst cave to shake. It's comparable to an emperor-to-be. Ling Yun was shocked. Whooshing Crocodile was surprised. In the past 10 years or so, one of the 5 old corpses has become so strong. At this time, the mighty death aura of the old corpse was a little terrifying, which really surprised Ling Yun. It merged with the bodies of the 2 dragon pearl guardian spirits. At the same time, it may have also eaten the corpses of the other 4 old corpses. Then, the guardian spirit's special demon aura and corpse aura coexisted and merged, making it so powerful in a short time. Lin Tian analyzed. While saying this, he did not stand still. Instead, he took a step forward and faced the emperor-to-be old corpse. His movements were simple and unflashy. He directly blasted a punch forward. For a moment, there was a loud bang, and the entire Karst cave space roared. Bang! The powerful punch directly sent the old corpse flying, causing the sky to be filled with foul-smelling black blood. This physical body, it's really perverted every time I see it. Ling Yun rolled his eyes. Ugh! The old corpse that was sent flying let out an ear-piercing roar. Black blood flowed all over his body, making him look even more like a ferocious ghost from hell. He pounced towards Lin Tian without fear of death, and his blood-red, ghostly eyes were full of ferocious luster. Lin Tian humped softly, not wanting to get entangled with this old corpse too much. He directly propped up the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory, and then summoned the great Tao nomological laws. The two fused and condensed into the strongest great Tao reincarnation diagram, which faced the other party in a mighty manner. Rumble, he bombarded the old corpse with the great Tao reincarnation diagram, causing it to be defeated and black blood to flow continuously. Immediately afterwards, after a quarter of an hour, he activated the great Tao reincarnation diagram to its maximum limit, and the holy light completely enveloped the old corpse's dragon pearl. At the same time, he also summoned the pure yang flames and used the golden divine fire to drown the other party. All of a sudden, the old corpse was completely shattered, and the golden pure yang flames burned its corpse over and over again. Done, Whooshing Crocodile said. You actually got rid of a quasi-emperor old corpse in a quarter of an hour. You're really sick. Ling Yun said. Although this old corpse is comparable to a quasi-emperor, it's still a little weaker than a real quasi-emperor cultivator. Besides, I've basically been attacking with all my might. Lin Tianandao said. Buzz. At this moment, a faint blood light intertwined at the place where the old corpse was shattered and burned, causing the space to ring. Lin Tian was immediately moved and looked at that place. He then waved his right hand and grabbed the object that was intertwined with the blood light. He realized that it was a bone that was the size of a thumb. It was blood red in color and had some strange patterns on it. He was a little surprised. There was no doubt that this blood bone belonged to the old corpse, and because of this, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. This was because he had used the diagram of the reincarnation of the Great Path and the pure yang flames to attack. The other parts of the old corpse's body had been destroyed, turning into black ashes. However, this piece of bloody bone had been preserved without the slightest damage. Chapter 1154. Lin Tian looked at the bloody bone in his hand and examined it seriously for a long time. However, he still couldn't figure out what it was. Forget it. Let's not bother about it for now. He shook his head and kept the bloody bone instead of throwing it away. After all, even though he didn't know what the bloody bone was, the fact that his great Tao reincarnation diagram and pure yang flame didn't destroy it was enough to show that the bloody bone was extraordinary. It might be of great use in the future. Let's start moving the dragon pearl, Whooshing Crocodile said. Yes, yes, yes. Ling Yin also said. Compared to their curiosity about the bloody bone, they were undoubtedly more interested in the dragon pearl in front of them, because Lin Tian was going to move the dragon pearl and give it to the all-extinguishing God dynasty as a destructive gift. Just thinking about it made them excited. Lin Tian nodded and said to the other two people and the crocodile, Little guy, stay here and guard me. You guys leave the Kar's cave first. Okay. Ling Yun and the others nodded and immediately left the cave. When Lin Tian saw the two of them and the crocodile retreating from the cave, he took a deep breath and began to act. He immediately activated the dragon burial scripture. Streaks of dragon tattoos surged out from the soles of his feet and spread out in all directions as though they were alive. At this time, he operated the dragon burial scripture and summoned the dragon patterns. He started to prepare to isolate the creation immortal force from this place. Buzz! The dragon patterns flickered and surged around. In this place, the 9 mountains formed the creation treasure land and formed the 9 dragons playing with the pearl. The dragon pearl moved to a single mountain and formed another kind of eternal killing trap. The core of the eternal killing trap was the dragon pearl here. Touching it casually would trigger the eternal killing trap, which was enough to kill anyone below the Emperor realm. At this moment, he circulated the dragon burial scripture to the limit with his 6th sky of Nirvana realm cultivation base. He carefully poured the dragon marks into the ground and spread them into the ancient killing trap. He slowly seeped in and cut off the ancient killing trap from the main meridians in this Kar's cave. When the time came, he would no longer be troubled by the killing trap when he touched the dragon pearl. As a matter of fact, Little Taichu could easily move the dragon pearl without fearing the eternal killing trap. However, he wasn't going to simply move the dragon pearl. Later on, he was going to engrave the dragon mark technique on the dragon pearl. At the same time, he was also going to add a portion of the eternal killing trap's power of murderous veins to the dragon pearl. When the time came, the dragon pearl would become a true source of destruction. At this time, he asked the little fellow to stay behind to protect him. He was worried that if he failed to cut off the killing trap in this place, at least the little fellow could completely protect him. He did not need to worry about being injured by the ancient killing trap in this place. Buzz! He wholeheartedly circulated the dragon burial scripture. More and more dragon marks gushed out from under his feet and extended in all directions. During this process, he stood still and controlled the dragon marks. They gushed out from this mountain and spread to the other 8 mountains. At the core of each mountain, he condensed a dragon mark point. At the same time, he also engraved a dragon mark point in the karst cave he was in. Then, he connected the 9 dragon mark points with the dragon marks. And this was only the first step. After doing all this, he formed a seal on his chest. The dragon mark points in the 9 mountains began to emit light. The light condensed into lines and surged towards the center of the 9 mountains. Bystanders couldn't see all of this. Only he, the caster, was fully aware. He stood in the karst cave where the dragon pearl was and wholeheartedly circulated the dragon burial scripture. With his 6th sky of Nirvana realm cultivation base, he maintained this ancient scripture at its peak. Just like that, 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. 7 days later. On this day, Lin Tian's face became slightly pale. Sweat dripped from his forehead. Clearly, the eternal killing trap in this place was very unusual. Even with his current 6th heavenly layer Nirvana realm cultivation and the dragon burial scripture, it was still very difficult for him to solve it. His essence, energy, and spirit were exhausted very quickly. He exhaled slightly. With a slight thought, he directly took out a large piece of Lingjing from the stone ring. He piled these pieces of Lingjing by his feet. The Sun Heart Sutra circulated on its own and quickly absorbed the Lingjing's spirit energy to replenish his essence, chi, and spirit. It's really more difficult than I imagined. With this kid's current strength, he can even kill a quasi-emperor. Just to break this killing trap, he actually doesn't have enough essence, chi, and spirit. He needs to use Lingjing to replenish it. He's even sweating. Outside the karst cave, Wuxing Crocodile was slightly moved. Indeed. Ling Yun nodded. Yin Yipper looked at Lin Tian in the center of the karst cave. She was also slightly surprised. In the karst cave, Lin Tian's entire body emitted a faint light of dragon patterns. Under his feet, the dragon patterns spread out and disappeared into the ground. They spread out in all directions and maintained the strong light of the peak level. Then, at the same time, the dragon patterns under his feet began to vibrate. As they spread out in all directions, they also rose into the air above the karst cave. They slowly formed a circle of dragon patterns. Like a ball of thread, they circled around the karst cave and formed a dragon pattern. This process was very slow. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. On this day, the dragon patterns under Lin Tian's feet gradually dimmed. The speed at which they surged out also slowed down a lot. Then, they gradually stopped. Then, he heavily exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and wiped the dense sweat on his forehead. Yeah. Little Taichu stood on his shoulder and tilted its head to look at him. Obviously, it was asking him if he had broken through the killing trap. It's almost done. Lin Tian smiled. In the 14 days, he took out 50,000 kilograms of Lingjing to replenish his essence, energy, and spirit. He had been maintaining the dragon burial scripture at its strongest state with his 6th sky of Nirvana realm cultivation. At this time, he had finally broken through the ancient killing trap. 14 days. This place is really more terrifying than I expected, Wuxing Crocodile said. At this time, it finally understood why Lin Tian said that they couldn't touch this Dragon Ball when they first saw it. Thinking about it, with Lin Tian's current cultivation, the dragon burial scripture, and the Lingjing to replenish his essence, energy, and spirit, it took him a total of 14 days to barely break through the killing trap. If they had touched the Dragon Ball back then, they would have died without a doubt. What do we do now? Start carving the great dragon pattern technique, and then move the Dragon Ball? Ling Yun asked. Lin Tian nodded. Now, they could indeed proceed to this step. At this time, he still didn't let Ling Yun and the others enter the karst cave. After all, even though he had cut off the ancient killing trap, he didn't completely cut it off. There was still a certain amount of risk left. He took a deep breath and took out 200,000 kilograms of Ling Jing in advance this time. Then he activated the dragon burial scripture again, and strands of dragon patterns spread out. This time, these dragon patterns didn't sink into the ground. Instead, they approached the Dragon Ball in the sky above the Karst cave. Then they slowly and carefully integrated into it. Suddenly, the Dragon Ball trembled slightly, and an incomparably dense spiritual energy spread out, causing the void to crack. Just a strand of spiritual energy can actually crack space. This is really terrifying. Outside the Karst cave, Ling Yun's eyes widened. Next to him, Yin Yip and Wuxing Crocodile's eyes were intertwined as they looked into the cave quietly. In the Karst cave, the light of the dragon patterns became denser. Lin Tian focused carefully. Dragon patterns surged out from the soles of his feet and slowly entered the Dragon Ball. Then he raised his hands again. Using the Divine 5 Dragon Flash technique, he carved the dragon burial formation on the Dragon Ball across the void. At the same time, he imprinted other great dragon pattern techniques, causing the Dragon Ball to tremble continuously. The light of the dragon patterns was dense. In an instant, the entire Karst cave was filled with this kind of light. During this process, his essence, chi, and spirit were consumed very quickly. However, with the spirit crystals that he had prepared in advance as a support, it was not a problem to replenish his essence, chi, and spirit. With the support of 200,000 kilograms of spirit crystals, he maintained the dragon burial scripture to the highest level. The dragon pattern grade array and various dragon pattern grade arts continued to enter the dragon pearl, filling it up. Then, his right leg stepped on the ground of the Karst cave and shook slightly. More dragon patterns spread out from the soles of his feet. At this time, it began to draw up a part of the murderous veins of this place, slowly merging them into the Dragon Ball. Suddenly, there was a rumbling sound. An extremely terrifying aura surged out from this place, causing the entire mountain to shake. Even people as strong as Wuxing Crocodile and the others couldn't help but tremble. They all felt a terrifying wave. In the Karst cave, the light was even more shocking, illuminating all directions. Lin Tian used the dragon burial scripture to carve the great dragon burial formation and other great dragon pattern techniques on the Dragon Ball. He also used the dragon patterns to integrate a part of the murderous veins of this place into the Dragon Ball, causing the Dragon Ball to emit a more and more terrifying aura. Moreover, it began to slowly expand like a balloon that was injected with air. In the blink of an eye, it expanded to more than 10 meters in diameter. However, this was not the end. As Lin Tian continued to carve the great dragon burial formation and great dragon pattern techniques on it, and as he integrated more of the murderous veins of this place into the Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball gradually expanded even more. He seriously operated the dragon burial scripture to carry out all of this. Even with the support of Ling Jing to replenish his essence, energy, and spirit, his forehead was still covered in sweat. Clearly, when doing all of this, his mind was always in a state of high concentration. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. A month later, on this day, the Dragon Ball in the center of the Karst cave expanded from its initial diameter of more than 1 meter to a diameter of 19 meters. There were strands of dragon patterns entwined around it, as well as strands of murderous veins. Its aura was terrifying. "It's done." Lin Tian opened his mouth. 2 bright lights flashed in his eyes, and then he exhaled heavily. Chapter 1155. The Dragon Ball, which was originally only 1 meter in diameter, had now grown to a diameter of 19 meters. It was intertwined with dragon patterns and innate killing veins. It was like a source of destruction. Its terrifying aura made the heavens and earth tremble. This is really... Ling Yun swallowed his saliva. Beside him, Wuxing Crocodile also widened his eyes. Even Yin Yip, who had an ethereal, immortal spiritual body, was shocked. At this time, The dragon pearl had expanded to a diameter of 19 feet. Just by looking at it, it gave people a huge feeling of shock. And the destructive fluctuations that interweaved on it made people feel even more terrified, as if it was the source of destruction. "This kid, how are you going to move it?" Whooshing Crocodile asked. At this moment, the Dragon Ball here was a little scary. It couldn't be put in the stone ring or the sea of consciousness. It would be a little troublesome to move it. You couldn't just carry it away, right? That would be too conspicuous. Hearing what it said, Yinya and Ling Yun also looked at Lin Tian. This was indeed a troublesome problem. Meeting the eyes of the two people and the crocodile, Lin Tian smiled faintly. "Don't worry," he said, looking at the little Taichu on his shoulder. "Little guy, you should have your own small world, right? Hold it up and put the Dragon Ball into your small world." Little Taichu was undoubtedly at the level of the Emperor realm. Existences at this level all had their own small worlds. Hearing what he said, Yin Yim Whooshing Crocodile, and Ling Yun couldn't help but look at little Taichu. Their eyes lit up. "I really forgot that this little guy should have his own small world. It should be able to contain it," Whooshing Crocodile said. Little Taichu responded in a childish voice. Then it directly opened a large space crack. Behind it was an extremely empty space. It was like a chaotic zone that had never been opened. There were only faint six-colored divine lights intertwining like mist. Lin Tian stared at this space. He was slightly moved. Without a doubt, this was the little guy's own small world. Although it looked very empty, he felt a huge sense of vastness, as if it was a starry sky. "There is nothing in this small world, but why do I have a feeling of trepidation?" Whooshing Crocodile was shocked. I have one too," Ling Yun said. Even Yin Yer nodded and said seriously, "Me too." Lin Tian looked at the two people and the crocodile, then looked at the little Taichu and smiled faintly. The origin of this little guy was too mysterious. "Buzz!" The little Taichu propped up the small world, and the gap became much larger. It enveloped the dragon pearl in the karst cave, causing the space in this place to hum slightly. After 5 breaths of time, it was completely sucked in. Then, with a whoosh, the little guy closed the small world that was propped up. "Yeah." The little guy looked at Lin Tian and called out in his childish voice, as if he was asking for credit. Lin Tian smiled and rubbed the little guy's head. "Now, are we going back to the ninth heaven? Then, we will throw the dragon pearl to the main clan of the great extinguishing divine dynasty." Ling Yun's eyes lit up. Lin Tian nodded, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Everything is ready, and it's time to go to the main clan of the great extinguishing divine dynasty. Little guy, go to the ninth heaven, the northern region," he said to the little Taichu. Little Taichu nodded again, and with a light swipe of its little paw, it tore open a huge crack in the void. Through the void crack, one can clearly see the scenery of the ninth heaven behind it. Towering mountains and endless rivers can be seen. This is the northern region of the ninth heaven. "Let's go," Lin Tian said to Yin Yer, Whooshing Crocodile, and Ling Yun. He immediately stepped into the void crack in front of him. Yin Yer, Whooshing Crocodile, and Ling Yun naturally didn't hesitate. They also stepped into the void crack and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After a moment of darkness, the group of people could see bits of light in front of their eyes as they stepped on solid ground again. Whoosh! A light breeze swept through, and the air was slightly humid and cold. However, the spiritual fluctuations were very strong. Walking out of the void, Lin Tian looked at the westernmost position of the northern region. His eyes were intertwined with cold light. "Let's go," he said, and led the way to the westernmost position of the northern region. "Hey!" Ling Yun smiled evilly. He was very excited and followed him. Whooshing Crocodile and Yin Yup naturally didn't hesitate and followed him. The group's cultivation was now very high, and their speed was very fast. Moreover, because the void crack that little Taichu had opened was not too far from the westernmost part of the northern region, it only took them about a day to arrive at the westernmost part of the northern region, the Ice Sea. "Smelly rats! Come out! A bunch of trash! Scum! You only know how to hide in the dark. You can't see the light of day." As far as the eye could see, the sound of killing shook the heavens and earth. The original layer of ice on the ice sea had been completely shattered, and the water was completely dyed red with blood. Many cultivators were at this place, and their faces were full of hatred and anger. They were all bombarding the great extinguishing god dynasty. All kinds of supernatural powers and secret skills were thrown down like crazy, causing the ice sea to boil. However, it was useless. There were many cultivators of the great extinguishing god dynasty who came here to attack the great extinguishing god dynasty. However, there were no real supreme masters. The most powerful one was only in the Nirvana realm. To the great extinguishing god dynasty, they were no threat or pressure at all. They couldn't even split open the water area that covered the great extinguishing god dynasty. On the contrary, under the ice sea, streaks of blood-red sword radiance were constantly rushing out. They slashed the sky and caused the cultivators who stepped into this place to explode one after another. Corpses fell on the surface of the ice sea, and the smell of blood was strong and pungent. Ants! A cold voice came from the bottom of the ice sea, bringing with it a bone-piercing chill. For a moment, clanging sounds were endless. More and more blood-red swords rushed out from the bottom of the ice sea, killing more cultivators. However, no one was afraid. Everyone's eyes were filled with hatred, and their eyes were bloodshot. Bastards! A bunch of cowards! Come out if you have the guts! Someone shouted. They are bugs that live in the dark. How can they come out? They will die if they see the light. That's right. A bunch of beasts. Many people sneered and mocked. These people knew that they couldn't do anything to the great extinguishing god dynasty. However, because their loved ones were killed, the anger in their hearts had been accumulated for too long. At least they felt comfortable cursing the great extinguishing god dynasty's main clan. Kill! The cold voice came from the bottom of the ice sea. Clang! 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 The surface of the ice sea was cut open, and dense sword lights rushed up. The swords carried a bone-piercing, killing intent as they pierced through the cultivators one by one. At the bottom of the ice sea, outside the main clan of the great extinguishing god dynasty, divine light and Tao runes surrounded the main clan, protecting the entire clan. Several quasi-emperors of this clan were sitting in a great hall in the main clan, watching the cultivators above the ice sea bombarding them and listening to the curses of the cultivators. Their faces were ashen. Their eyes were incomparably sinister as they clenched their fists. As one of the 9 top forces of the 9th heaven, the great extinguishing god dynasty had existed for countless years and was very powerful. They didn't care about these cultivators at all and could easily crush them. However, being bombarded and cursed by these people in waves, they naturally couldn't feel comfortable. That damn Lin Tian! Damn it! The leader of this clan gritted his teeth. His eyes were full of killing intent, and he couldn't wait to drag Lin Tian out and tear him into pieces. If it weren't for Lin Tian, how could the great extinguishing god dynasty end up in such a state? Wave after wave of cultivators had actually forced them to come to the main gate of the clan, bombarding and insulting them. Moreover, the location of the main clan was exposed. What should they do in the future? Every time they completed a mission, the relatives and friends of the people they killed would force them to the main clan. How terrible would that be? Or would they change the position of the main clan in the future? However, how could the main clan's position be changed so easily? For a moment, the leader of this clan was extremely irritated, and he hated Lin Tian even more. He even had the thought of eating Lin Tian alive. Kill! Kill them all for me! The leader stared at the ice sea and roared. Suddenly, the clanging sound of swords rang incessantly as they crazily rushed towards the ice sea. Then, the cultivators on the ice sea who were bombarding and cursing the great extinguishing god dynasty died in the blink of an eye. The great extinguishing god dynasty is too strong. How can these people be a match for them? Yeah, they're just sending themselves to their deaths. A dense crowd of cultivators stood at the edge of the ice sea far away. They were all looking at the center of the ice sea, and many of them were whispering to each other. These people had heard about the location of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty's main clan a few months ago. They knew that many people and sects who hated the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty would kill their way here, so they all came to this place to watch the show. At this time, these cultivators saw the cultivators crazily attacking the IC at the center of the IC, and saw the cultivators being crushed to death by the blood swords rushing out of the IC. They couldn't help but sigh and shake their heads in pity. It was also at this time that some of the cultivators who were shaking their heads were suddenly stunned. They caught sight of a few figures slowly walking towards the center of the IC. That is Lin. Someone's face turned pale as he pointed to the front, his lips trembling. Lin Tian? Someone beside him shouted. In an instant, there was a huge uproar. Many people followed the gaze of the cultivator, who shouted and looked in the same direction. Then they were all shocked. There, on the south side of the IC, Lin Tian stepped on the void and walked towards the center of the IC step by step. Little Taichu was lying on his shoulder, and beside him was Yin Yamur, Wuxing Crocodile, and Ling Yun. It's really that Lin Tian. He found out the location of the main clan of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty and let everyone know about it. Now, he's here too. This ruthless person. Speaking of which, how did he find out the location of the main clan of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty? Also, how did he find the killing points of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty in the past? How did he do all these? He's here now. What is he doing here? Wait, this is the main clan of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty. There were as many experts as there were clouds in the sky, and there was the old Shadi, who was in the 9th layer of the Emperor realm. He had killed so many experts of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty and destroyed so many strongholds of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty. Then, he found out the location of the main clan of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty and leaked it to the world. Now, the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty wanted to swallow him alive. Why is he so bold? Even if that little beast is strong enough to kill a 4th layer of the Emperor realm, there is still a huge gap between it and a peerless expert at the 9th layer of the Emperor realm. What is he? Many cultivators were shocked. Now Lin Tian had become a real influential figure in the 9th heaven. His combat strength was terrifying, his means were outstanding, and he had the mysterious little beast at his side. Many cultivators were in awe of him. At this time, when these people saw Lin Tian, the person who found out the location of the main clan of the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty and leaked it to the world, they were all shocked and stared straight at Lin Tian. At the same time, most of the cultivators were staring at the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder. Many of them couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Lin Tian stepped on the void. Because his current cultivation was very strong, his spiritual sense was very sharp. Naturally, he could clearly hear the discussions and gazes of these cultivators, but the expression on his face didn't change. He looked at the center of the IC, at the bottom of the sea. His eyes were intertwined with faint light as he walked forward slowly. Those who are not from the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty, please leave as soon as possible. That you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.